wasn't my way. You've gotten to me, and that's my mistake. Some might say I can't get too far without seeing your face. Oh, you gave me your heart and took it away. I'm going underground, going underground. Say your loving comes around, going underground, going underground. 'Cause your love is not around anymore. Going underground, 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 yeah. Going underground, 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 yeah. plata. Cash, cash, cash. Get money, get money. It's bam, bam, bam. It's bam, bam. She wanna flick for the gram. Plus, her baby sabe who I am, so she wanna do it all on cam. Like, hold up, sabe how to hold a pull up. Soon as we done, I'ma roll up. Full lines are better, I pull up. Papi te paga los biles, pero quiero todo lo tuyo. Prefieres hacerlo conmigo que siempre lo hacemos bien duro. I bought a Benz straight from the trap. I don't like paying no taxes. I don't need friends, solo una mami. Papi te enseño Araxes. Me and my chick, we got a chick. Yeah, we treat her like a pet. She keep it G, she keep it tranqui, but she be down with the set. Ay, me and my chick, we got a chick. Yeah, we treat her like a pet. Ay, EBK if you all in the way, you in the field with a vet. Ay, bam, bam, she wanna flick for the gram. Plus, her baby sabe who I am, so she wanna do it all on cam. Like, hold up, sabe how to hold a pull up. Soon as we done, I'ma roll up. Full lines are better, I pull up. Ay, bam, bam, she wanna flick for the gram. Plus, her baby sabe who I am, so she wanna do it all on cam. Like, hold up, sabe how to hold a pull up. Soon as we done, I'ma roll up. Full lines are better, I pull up. Vestido Mbappe, rich como Mbappe, I can never let her up stop me. In the backseat, I'm with your chick, I love it when she be on top me. Windows black, that's a fact, she don't even mind getting sloppy. Shoot her outside, holding it down, si le digo que hacer, he like copy. Ábrame la ventana para ventilar este humo. No way, Mr. Officer, soy un trap star, so you know. Fumo, bebo, vendo, ¿qué le digo? You know where I'ma send you. Bam, bam, she wanna flick for the gram. Plus, her baby sabe who I am, so she wanna do it all on cam. Like, hold up, sabe how to hold a pull up. Soon as we done, I'ma roll up. Full lines are better, I pull up.
I would die a happy death if I knew that What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Titan Dandy, and we are back again for another SMITE update show. We're all the way to, what, 11.7, I guess it would be? Had to count the number of months that we're on. But we're in the 7th one. We're in the 7th update. And this year's been flying by. Lots of crazy and cool stuff between SMITE 1 and SMITE 2. It's just been a wild ride. And obviously, any wild ride is more fun with friends. So let's introduce everybody else on the hanging out on set with me. We got Lermy, Ro, and J-Mac. How are y'all doing?
Good,
so good, man. I'm so excited for this patch.
Same. Yep. I mean, a little teaser on that card art
that
there.
is a crazy teaser, by the way.
Right. So y'all might have a little bit of an idea of what might be happening. Like how
many of those items you could recognize.
Yeah, right. This is the part where we're like, oh no, we just thought those items were cool. That's nothing to do with what's going on today. So I would love to see the comments that came from that. But no, we got some cool stuff to show y'all. Starting off today though with some skins. We're gonna dive right in the skin section first and talk about some of the cool new stuff that's coming up with this next patch. The first skin that we're going to talk about is actually a Ymir skin for our big ice boy. We have Mr. Squish Ymir.
Oh, he's so
Look
squishable.
at
Look at that
Oh,
guy.
he's the friends too.
He's got a lot of friends.
He does have a lot of
So
friends.
He's really big compared to them, I guess, which is
Yeah,
crazy,
he is. He's
but-
even bigger than Yorm. Yeah.
over in the background.
How's he
Dude.
bigger than the world serpent himself?
I love all the references that we
Yeah,
get in these
it's
plushie
all
card
of them.
arts. And
I agree.
I don't think it's quite all of them, but there's a lot of them there. There's a lot of plushie skins. believe
Yorm,
it or not.
Kepri,
We got Ganesh, we got Kurt.
Ganesh, yeah. And then little piggy guy?
There's gotta
I
be.
think that's CERN's pig.
Yeah, it might be CERN's
Okay,
boar whenever you transform an
The
old.
Not
transform,
quite the same,
okay.
but they're close.
I feel
The
like
Wild
there's
Hunt.
more.
There's definitely more.
There's
There's
a-
like Ardio.
Oh, there is
Oh, dude.
Ardio.
See, Ardio has 2 phases though. She'd be like people sized. Like that's like life size.
That's a
plushie,
big
but-
plushie, bro. Those
That's
are
true.
expensive.
This gives me like a scene from Toy Story vibes.
yeah,
like with this going
like he's
on.
just coming
That's
to life.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is he gone?
Those are
All right.
some Father Christmas vibes as well.
Oh
yeah.
Look at-
dude, look at the texture.
His little eyes.
He's so squishy.
His cold purple breath.
Yeah, that is crazy that plushie.
Got a little,
is
oh, he's
so
got a little
cool.
bear in the backpack.
Oh, that's adorable.
He's ready for his first day of school.
It's like it's like Croaky Loki when he has like the little frog in
Oh,
the
the
bag
guy
now,
in
the
but
back.
now it's the little teddy bear plush.
little
And
teddy
he has a
bear.
little tail.
He does
Ymir
have
with the
a
tail?
little tail.
Hey yo.
Ymir with the tail? What he doing though? What an adorable. All right, let's check him out in game. Our fluffy friend.
Oh, so cute.
I like his little.
He's got
hat.
stars in his trail.
He does.
That's so
Yeah,
cute.
woo.
Oh wow!
Aw. All right. Oh.
Oh, they're
Aw,
pillows.
that's-
Oh, it's like,
Look, how could those ever hurt?
That's the comfiest that ability has ever looked.
Helps if I give myself cooldowns. Make it a little easier spam.
Boom. That is cute. Oh,
Literally
there's
me at
little
the
stars there,
sleepover
too.
preparing my bed when my friend did not.
Oh.
like a
It has a little jingle in it too.
Yeah, it's like a good night thing.
Aw, a little lullaby. That's cute.
We gotta tuck the homies in, you know.
Oh, it's got a little bear on the
Oh,
wall.
there's two.
What about this side? Oh, a little one on the
Oh.
ground.
Dude, pillow fort?
Oh, that's
He's just throwing pillows around.
Dude, it's boom boom time.
Aw. I love this skin. It's so cute. Ymir
That-
has a bunch of cute skins, but I feel like this one's gotta be the cutest.
A little squeak on the autos too.
Oh,
That has to be the name of the build.
Yes.
Whatever, like design a high damage build for this, and it's
attack speed Ymir with this
yeah, it's the boom boom time build.
Oh, a little laugh.
like crit Ymir in Smite 2.
That's good.
Oh man, so true.
Oh, all right. Speaking of Smite 2, because I just heard that, let's check out the Smite 2 render. You know this is cross-gen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Even
Look at how soft.
squishier, even softer.
You get that really good
Cuter.
like felt material.
Yeah.
It looks like.
There's
Yeah.
even like a bunch of different textiles. I think that's like one of the strengths of these plushie skins is you can really see like what kinds of fabrics or like various other materials really come
Yeah.
together. Like you can tell the difference between the buttons to the like more shiny fabric to the softer fabric. It's just such a nice display of all of that creativity that our skin team has done and
Yeah.
our concept team has put together.
You do really get a good bit of diversity with it. So super pretty and going to be available in Smite 2, as you could expect. So let's move on to our next skin. Next up, we have High Honor Mulan.
Oh, kind of
Ooh.
fantasy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very
regal
fantasy.
looking one.
Yeah.
I love the like winged headpiece.
These are kind of my favorite, yeah.
Gives me like a Valkyrie vibe.
Ooh, yeah.
It's very simple, but it's really, really elegant for her, which I love.
Couldn't agree more. I'm just a big Mulan fan. I like all the different weapons you get to
Oh,
use and like the mastery
true.
system. So always fun to do that.
Yeah.
I kind of like too how she's framed by all these birds. Like, is she in a church? Because like you can see there's like an angel statue behind her because there's like wings or something.
Oh,
Framing, like,
nice framing. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like shout out to
Great
the
art team, by the way.
I hate to like rip Mifflin here, but like it's about the negative space, not the center focal point, but that background space that, you know, elevates the whole. So
It does look really nice.
it does look really nice. Like sounds pompous and jokey to say, but very cool. I'm also just a fan of cool armor. Who isn't a fan of cool armor?
For sure.
So absolutely love this skin, and this is part of the Immortal Honor, if I am to remember correctly. So this will be for those of you who are Immortal Honor fans. You're going to get this if you've already bought all. If you click that magical buy all button, you'll have it right away. Cross-gen as well, as you could expect. But there'll be one other skin that we'll talk about. The first skin was from a plushie chest. This is part of Immortal Honor. This and the next one.
Yeah.
So
So much detail in every one of those little wings on her armor. Like there's so much detail in there.
I agree. Again, I'm always a fan of high fantasy armor, and I am of the belief that like the more decoration, the better. You know.
Yeah.
So let's dive in and check her out in game.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited for this one. Oh, shiny.
It is
Very
shiny.
nice.
Oh.
Clean and
Yeah.
crisp.
Don't get cocky. Wield Thor.
Good.
Got it.
I will not.
Not this time.
This
The
time.
CC glow looks really good as well.
Yeah, it actually is super on theme with her skin as well.
Yeah,
That's
shout out.
really nice. And the
shout out to the
sparkles.
change. The old change, but you were turning
Yeah.
with the bow. Yeah.
Ooh.
That was impactful.
Yeah, that is really cool. I just love all the small little details, you know.
Yeah.
It really feels like the fidelity has moved up quite a bit between like base and this one. Even though the design itself is like really simple, you can see like this is like an alternate universe Mulan
Yeah.
almost, where like
Yeah.
she's from this other kind of like more
Valkyrie, yeah.
angelic Valkyrie, you know,
How
whatever
many
you want to call it,
paladins does it take
dimension.
to change a lamp?
Paladin.
Yeah, that's
Only
yeah,
one,
that's
but
good.
they all want to.
And we
Strength
still
is
got
as
punny
fleeting
jokes.
as an echo.
No matter the dimension you're in, you still gotta have jokes.
Yeah, you still gotta have a sense of humor at least. So, again, this is a cross-gen skin. All the skins you're gonna see are cross-gen skins, meaning get them in Smite 1, have them ready for you in Smite 2 when the god is available and locked in. So, don't laugh at me. Let's check out the Smite 2 render.
Yes, dude. Yes. It's
Dude.
always so fun to point out just all of the like, again, texture differences that you can see because that's
Yeah.
the most immediate thing. But
And,
like,
like the leather and the metal
the
armor.
leather
is such
and
a
the
good
metal,
Yeah,
and
leather and the
reflections
metal.
too. Like everything really feels like it's got that bump up in the lighting and in general
Yeah.
just fidelity pass when it comes to the shadows and the really high highlights. They just really sell the kind of immersion that all these materials are built into this wonderful suit of armor.
Yeah.
Like in game or even in the other card art, I didn't even notice the red gems in her weapon and her belt and
Oh,
the
true.
headpiece as well. But in Smite 2, they just have so much more pop.
Yeah.
They do. And again, excited to see this in Smite 2. If you get it as part of the Immortal Honor Pass, you will have it ready and waiting for you when Mulan is locked in and ready to go. But next up, we have some more Immortal Honor to talk about. And this one, very thematic, especially if you're here in Georgia, it's like hot.
It's hot. Oh my
Way too
God.
hot.
Summertime is here. But to help celebrate and get into the mood, we have Summer Fun Medusa. So
Oh, she is having fun.
That's-
Yes, sir.
I've got a new Medusa skin.
true.
She's turned everybody else to stone. typically.
Oh yeah, that's the
I mean,
stone
the beach,
Hercules in the
beach
back.
for herself, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else
She-
is that they got?
that was her spot.
Relax.
I'd say I wouldn't do the same. Yeah. Get a bit of shade as well.
Is that
Oh.
Cucullin in the back there?
Oh, it is
I
Cucullin.
was about to say it's Herc in the front,
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
definitely hard.
but I couldn't tell at first
The
who it
beach
was
spot
behind.
Herc.
Yeah.
I think she's
That's
got two
awesome.
kids just chilling.
We left the kids.
She's
that's-
nice to kids.
Yeah.
Like
The kids don't bother her. It's
Yeah.
they're in the way.
the prying eyes of the hunks who are trying to finesse.
The
She's
kids
like,
see
nah.
the snake part and they say, "I'm not dealing with that." And
Yeah.
they walk away.
They go, oh, cool.
Looks like they're just busy playing tag anyway, so which is the vibe.
The sandcastle, maybe.
Yeah, when it's, I'd be in the water, dude. 90 something degrees
I mean,
outside. I'd be.
It is just having a
boiling.
nice beverage there. Dude, I love this tail.
I love. Yeah, it's like
Scales.
sea
the
serpent.
fin. Yeah.
Yeah. The fin is the best part.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a cross between mermaid and.
Oh, the
sea
tattoo
serpent.
across the
She's
back.
got lots of tattoos
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, she's tatted up.
I just love seeing like the kind of the way that concept artists come up with like the tattoos and stuff, because it's kind of like, what kind of tattoo would this character
Yeah,
get?
would
Because it
Medusa
feels
get?
like this kind of character is really like into that kind of scene. So I'm like really excited to see just all of the various little teeny tiny details, you know, the concept artists get to put into those really intricate spots.
Yeah. Oh
of the
wow.
character as well.
Love the hair too.
Yeah. Hey, let's check this one out in game. You know we got to.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
I
water!
got the water.
Splish splash.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
That's
those
cool.
jellies. cute. Oh,
Ooh, like the
oh, the
beats
effect.
behind it.
Yeah.
It literally
Dude,
creates a
that's
beat.
so cool.
That
That's
is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Oh, they're all turned away from me. They're all away.
Yeah. Dude, I love just how like
I love how it flashes the beach when she does
Yeah.
that
yes,
as well.
I don't know like what the right word to describe that is, but it looks so cool.
The way I'm
The small
perceiving it,
details.
the way I'm perceiving it is that for her, it's always beach time. Like
Oh,
summer
yeah.
fun
I
never
could
ends.
turn
So that's
to
just a glimpse
stone,
into what
but why
she's
ruin
seeing,
my
you know?
view? You're more out of place than a sea cucumber in my cocktail.
What? Y'all voice pack writers on something.
That's a Tina moment for sure.
That's a Tina moment. Okay, shout out to Tina then.
Now it's Tina.
Let's check out the Smite 2 render for this one.
It's the
Cool.
scale.
Ooh, oh wow, yeah, those scales glow almost.
Yeah, the scales just have so much more definition.
Yeah, they pick up that they're so much more reflective. You get that sheen off of whatever light source is around.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those skins that's going to be really cool as you're slithering through the jungle and you're catching light off
Yeah.
of abilities and torches and glowing like emissives. Like watching those scales kind of shimmer as you go by things.
That's gonna be so cool.
That's going to be really cool.
Yeah. I just love the attitude as well of these
Yeah.
poses. Like you can really see the character's personality come through.
You super
So
can.
fun.
Well, again, this is going to be part of the Immortal Honor event. So those are the two skins, all cross-gen. And again, you can buy everything all at once. Boom, you have an entire year's worth of skins. That's everything that's happened thus far and everything that will happen through the end of the year. Or you can buy it in chapters, or you can just pick out the one. If you're like, hey, Summer Fun Medusa, that's the one. Just get that one. Just get that one. So completely up to y'all, though. All cross-gen, so they will all be ready for you when the gods are available in Smite 2. So moving forward, next up, we have the new cross-gen pass that's coming with this update. And we got two new skins to talk to about there. And of course, cross-gen pass, they're all cross-gen. Getting sick of me saying cross-gen. It's going to stop meaning anything soon, you know, like saying because too many times. But next up, we have Court Charmer Aphrodite.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's
Oh,
so
the weapon's
pretty.
really cool,
She is
actually.
pretty. She's like an elf.
She's like a very light elf too, but like not in the traditional like super woodsy version of an
No,
elf. you see,
yeah.
just like very much like
Magical elf.
light.
It's more like the
beige.
high elf class.
Yeah.
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 Because she has like that kind of like almost pink skin, you know?
Mhm.
That's really cool. And then, yeah, you can see like the pink magic emanating off of the...
I mean, it's got to be pink, right?
It's got to be pink. It's Aphrodite. Like that's her thing. So I love all the like rainbow or what do they call that? Pearlescent splashing water too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like that's the sign of a pure spring, you know, touched by the
Yeah,
the
this
grace of
certainly
the
is
elves.
a very pure soul in terms of what she does, right?
Yeah.
Helps her teammates out, saves their lives, all of the good thing. Very much aligns with this theme of like a light high elf. Or
Well, she is the court charmer after all.
Oh, yeah.
So very, very, very cool.
of the elven court.
Of the elfin court. Yeah. But yeah, no, super great skin, and again, a good look for Aphrodite as well. Like, just, I guess I don't know how to say it. She has such a nice, pleasant look about her that making her kind of the soft features of an elf really does. She lends her style to it very well.
Yeah, I
So.
definitely love the vibes of this.
It's a cool crown.
Yeah.
And just the reflection of all the metal parts as well.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
gonna look sick.
Which is gonna
Ooh, we
go
got-
crazy in Smite 2.
Yeah, you know
But it
what-
already looks
when
good in
the
Smite 1.
Oh yeah.
Getting hyped for the Smite 2 render.
The,
and we ain't even there yet.
Little crown tiara on top as well.
Yeah,
The details of the armor is really nice.
it is. Well, let's see what this looks like in game. How about it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Our souls are linked.
Our souls are linked.
Oh, it's like very
gone.
flowery, but also it's got these like cool charms.
Do
in it.
not test me.
Yeah, I like all of the like sigils.
Be
and
gone.
designs.
Very cool, like
Oh, look at the birds.
patterns.
Yeah, they're
Birds
also
above the head.
yeah, kind of pearlescent or yeah.
Dude, very very cool. On theme, it feels like.
Yeah, everything feels kind of like harpish too, you know. It has that like
Oh,
really
yeah.
just, like,
Especially the treatment with the sound is just so
Yeah.
much like it's more gentle. I feel like than like normal Aphrodite.
yeah.
I cannot fathom using such power for destruction.
Look at her. She's got a little good. She's got some good in her.
It's
you
like
know?
true good Aphrodite.
Yeah. Like good, like yeah, true good. Wow. Well, you know we got to look at the Smite 2 render, right? We can't not. We were just talking about it a second ago, so. Oh yeah, that's
dude.
cool. Ooh, I like the way the light, like the purple orb in the staff, in the crescent moon staff, how it's like reflecting pink light down onto the.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
the way that the lighting works in the game alone, it's crazy to be able to solo in on something as like everyday as light. But like, it's crazy how many little details you can pick out. with just how
Replicating
good it
light
is.
in computers is very hard.
Yeah, the sun makes you think it'd be so easy, just be
Yeah,
on
dude,
fire.
just
But
be
like,
a giant ball in the sky, several thousands of hundreds of thousands of miles away. You know.
right? When I was a kid, that's what I wanted to do. I was like, that's it. When I grow up, I want to be a giant gas orb. But either way, this is the first of 2 skins in this cross gym pass. The second one, it's kind of exciting for a couple reasons, which we'll dive into in just a second. But let's just show you the skin first. We have Court Archer Cupid.
He's so whimsical.
Yeah.
He is
Happy
Whimsical
little guy.
is the word that I want to
so
use here.
whimsical.
But
I love those like blue wings too.
Yeah, very big, bright blue wings,
Yeah,
and
such happy energy.
Yeah.
he's just like very happy to go out and do some archery.
Yeah.
Do some archery. Yeah, true. Protect the court of the Fae.
Oh yeah.
So a very cool skin as well. And I like too that it seems very, because of the color scheme, it seems very thematic to the Aphrodite skin
Yeah,
that we
it
just
feels
saw.
like they contrast really nicely.
Yeah.
Like if she's like the high elf, like this is our wood elf right here.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you have some of those greens. He's wearing more of that, like, not exactly
earth
full armor.
tones.
Yeah, the earth tones.
Yeah, a little bit more woodsy.
I guess he is holding like the wooden bow as well, you know. So it has the silver accents, which go well with like his, I guess, half plate armor, almost full plate armor. So just a very cool skin to look at, and one that'll be very exciting. Like all of them. Like I want to see those wings. There it is. I want to see the wings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into some news. Let's get into something I'd like to call a spoiler right here. All right. So you might notice this is Cupid, right? That doesn't look like a scary little baby. That doesn't look like a scary little baby Cupid. That's because in Smite 2, you heard it here first. In Smite 2, Cupid will be getting a remodel to look a little more aligned with some of our other childlike characters. So we're thinking the Scyllas, the Charybdises.
Yeah.
So be prepared. Obviously, this is a skin for Cupid in Smite 2. So this is a little more akin to what you will be seeing when we're ready to show off, base Cupid in Smite 2.
Yeah,
But-
animations and things like that, not 100% going to be entirely accurate to what the base is, but this is just going to be a really sick skin for Cupid in Smite 2, and then
Yeah.
we'll be showing off standard Cupid in Smite 2 at a different time.
Yeah, but just wanted to sprinkle in a little spoiler, some
Yeah.
showcasing some stuff. So not only do we have this cool skin, but we also have the news of a new Cupid on the horizon and a rough look at what a skin for him would look like, so that you can see what he looks like himself later with all of his new original effects and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
either way, let's look at what this looks like in Smite 1. That is so cool.
I mean, shout out to the team to actually bring this into Smite 1.
I know,
This was-
right?
This was all built for Smite 2. So to be able to serve the Smite 1 player base right now with this skin, it's kind of a privilege.
Yeah.
Bursting with joy.
Bursting with joy.
He just feels like so much more. I don't know what the word is. Like accurate's not the word that's quite right, but it feels like he belongs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't look so
So alien.
cartoonish. Yeah, alien is maybe a word to use there for sure. But yeah, he feels really cool. I
Oh,
love this
wow.
dash animation. So cool.
Not only the animation, but
Little
like
dirt trail
yeah,
behind
the trail through the grass.
Yeah, he really feels like he's speeding up though. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
before he would kind of just
Go
scoot
back.
along the line. Yeah, now he's definitely zipping.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that's cool. All right, so I've heard that the death animation is worth seeing, so we're gonna make that happen for y'all because we like showing off here. So
What's the command for death animation?
Suicide.
oh,
dark.
there he goes.
Oh, he gets shot with an arrow.
Arrows.
He's still
He readjusts it.
just pretending.
What a little joker.
Oh no.
That's so good. Again, shout out to our team, and I want to highlight something that was said earlier. Like, as we were getting into the creation of Smite 2 and getting this crazy cross-gen system working, there was a lot of how do we take stuff that's going to be in Smite 1 and push it to Smite 2. But now that we've had time to delve through the system, like our team has not only figured out how to work that pipeline, Smite, upgrading from Smite 1 to Smite 2, but also the other direction, being able to make things that you can design wholly for Smite 2 compatible with Smite 1. So
Yeah.
what an insane, I guess just an insane work of art that they were able to do, or like an insane, I don't know, achievement of the mind to be able to create a pipeline that flows both directions, even though the technology between those two things has a 10-year gap, you know?
Yeah, I mean, since we're already here as well, we might as well. Can we get a look at the taunt and the laugh? per
Oh, yeah,
chance?
let's do it.
Man, that was just so good.
I love how, like, floaty he looks, too, you know?
rarely miss a shot.
Oh, he breaks the little heart.
That again?
Aw,
Not
that's so cute. I love
That is awesome. I think that's one thing that the slightly more, like, I guess bigger model, I don't know how to say it other than, like, larger model lends itself to is you get to
Can
have
you
all those
imagine
fun
Cupid's
animations.
Little chubby little hands.
Yeah, little chubby fingers. No, you wouldn't see it.
Exactly.
But you get a lot more physical emotion from this type. So excited to show off this. Excited for y'all to in the future see what Cupid will look like in Smite 2. It's going to be really cool.
Preview, right?
Yeah, this is a really
Nice
good
little
preview
spoiler.
of what a skin for Cupid in Smite 2 will look like. So let's check out the Smite 2 render as well.
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
I love the like more ethereal nature that you get with the wings.
Agreed.
They looked really good in Smite 1, don't get me wrong, but you really feel that this is like a magical creature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The eyes too are just piercing. Like they were like, let's make them like blue.
Yeah, it's like
you
the
know?
color match between the eyes, the wings, the tip of
Yeah, the
its
tip of the
weapons. I
arrow.
guess it's
Looks like a little
arrow,
fairy on the
yeah.
front of the arrow.
Oh, that's cute.
That is cute. A little
That'll
fairy
be the
dust.
same as all as FX as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, so all super cool stuff. And again, that is the last of the 2 skins in the new cross-gen pass, so make sure you check that out. Coming up next week on Tuesday. Y'all know how it works. Y'all are Smite fans. Y'all are cool. You know it. So super exciting stuff. Now we're going to get into the short section of the show where I blab a little bit. And of course, I got my notes right in front of me. So when I look down, it's because I have the brain of a goldfish and don't want to misquote anything. So let's talk about some events coming up. First of all, if y'all been keeping up with this Creator Cup, it's been a wild ride. And it's been going on for a while now, but we're getting towards the end of it. The finals, the LAN finals, will be happening the 13th and 14th of July. You can see it on the screen, 11 a.m. ET. The word is there. Finals. It's it's been a long time coming. Obviously not this weekend because we're all out. If you're US, you're out celebrating and having fun this weekend. We got the 4th of July coming up. But next weekend, lock in, get ready, grab the popcorn, your favorite Smite blanket, your favorite Smite shirt, and go out and root for the team you want to see win it all because they are coming up. So super excited for that. Super excited to see the unique avatar and title that you can get for tuning in. Those are exclusive drops. So yet another reason to go to twitch.tv/Smite game and tune in because you're going to get some unique rewards as well just for participating and hanging out. So super excited for y'all to come out and watch that and to see the end of an incredible event. So yeah, that was actually it. That was what I wanted to talk about there. So I guess I will go on record to say, along with everybody else, always, we're literally always saying this around the office, thank y'all for Alpha Weekend 3. I know the start of that was a little, it took a second. We had some ironing out to do. Such is the process of any alpha anything. Like the word alpha in a video game inherently means it's going to be a little something. But y'all stuck with us. Y'all helped us figure out some issues. We were like, hey, we think we solved it. Y'all threw feedback and said, yeah, this is good. Or, no, maybe work a little more. And helped us iron that out. So it just goes to show how pivotal y'all are to this process of refining and iterating through Smite 2 as it grows from alpha into everything beyond. So thank y'all again. It was a really fun weekend, and it happened because y'all were there to help us out in like the flash tests and everything and help us get all these kinks ironed out. So just a big thank you from myself personally, but from the entire team as well, because they're back there working right now on the feedback that y'all provided us through the surveys and through everything else. Like they're poring over it and trying to make sure that the next time y'all are in playing Smite 2, you're like, oh man, they got my feedback. Like this is what I wanted. So again, thank you. I could talk about it all day, but we'll keep moving. So now we're getting into design. We got some, or not design, but balance. There we go. There was a word for that. So we got some cool balance to talk about. We're gonna do it a little bit differently today. We figured we've always just been here hanging out with y'all, especially with these alpha tests. Like y'all know more about what's going on than ever before. Y'all are right here with us, helping us work through all these new changes. So we figured we'd make this a little more personable too. So we're gonna dive right into the update notes as y'all see them. They've been live for just a little while now, not super long, but for about a half hour or more. So if you've seen them already, awesome. But if not, you can head over to smitegame.com/news and look at the 11.7 update and hang out and read along with us. So I guess we're just going to dive right in. So at the top of the page, you can see all the skins we just went over. Super excited to see those. But then we're going down into balance. And the first thing we want to talk about with balance, as always, is game modes. And something that y'all might have seen us tease a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Medusa's Deathmatch coming back.
It is back at last. It's been heavily requested
For a
to
long
return.
time, yeah.
People are happy when they saw the spoiler.
Yeah, this mode, I'm pretty sure, was removed in patch 5.12. So it's been
Almost 6 years.
Yeah,
Oh.
basically 6 years. Very close, because back then we were doing the every bonus patch is a patch, right? So 5.12 was actually in the middle of the summer, so we're pretty close
You're
to
right.
coming up in
To exactly 6
6
years.
years from the removal of that
Bananas.
mode. So it's back.
It's back.
No rules changes really, but the only couple of things to note here is that we have updated it so that the new HUD will work with this mode as well. And then on top of that, Kali, Persephone, and the Morrigan are banned from this mode. They just cause some issues. You know, you can imagine
The troublemakers, a lot of them.
things that would cause those guys to break. A couple of small known issues, but you can read more details on that there. But again, all of this stuff is not game breaking, and it's going to be a wonderful time to go grab 2 of your best friends, jump into this 3v3v3 mode, and do your best to survive, because that's what this mode's all about. It is a death match.
Yeah, it is.
When you
death.
die, you are dead until the next round, and you got to get enough points to win. Once you win, well, that's it. Go on to the next one.
Once you win, good job. Queue again and win a second time. I dare you.
This is extra fun for me because I actually didn't really play it much when it first came out because
Same.
I was just heavily into rank conquest like it was a problem, to be honest. So this is like new to me almost, even though it's an older game mode coming back.
Yeah.
And with a few changes, that excites me even more because I know how much players loved it before. So to go back and be able to experience that again that they experienced before is really exciting.
Yeah.
With all the new gods and new items, right? Things like that.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and for people like me, because I missed it, but that's because like I played a lot of Smite really early on, and then college and 3 jobs all at the same time. I was like, all right, we don't game anymore. We barely sleep and we work until we. So like, for me, this is a brand new experience because it happened in that little pocket of time where I didn't get to try it out. So if you're like me or you just never got to try this, I helped test it out a little bit as we were building it back up and getting it ready. It was fun. It's super fun.
This mode's awesome.
It's super awesome. All right, so let's move on. We have more game modage to talk about, but next up we're getting into quite a few changes for Joust, it looks like.
Yeah, so we did a couple of smaller changes for Joust in the past, and we have basically gone back and revisited those a little bit more. So essentially, our changes have done an amount of good in trying to reduce the efficacy of the double tank meta that you see a lot in ranked Joust especially, but also in your casual Joust from time to time. So we are trying to be a little bit more heavy-handed with some of these changes to kind of really encourage people to try to put a little bit more emphasis on damage, whether that's having a more damage-oriented frontliner or to have another backline carry with one frontliner.
One frontline.
So a lot of these changes kind of get summed up into that, but we'll go into them a little bit more detail where we talk a little bit about the general stuff that changed first.
Yeah,
So
sure. Let's do it.
there's additional XP and gold spooling in the mode, so that's going to help people get to the higher levels faster, which is going to be really nice for those characters that do need to scale for the late game.
Most carries, yeah.
Yeah, most of the carries do need that. Also, the base gold for camps is going up. This is a little bit more important for the carries versus the spooling. Spooling, of course, is free. You get it all the time.
Yeah.
But when you're killing camps, which, you know, carries are kind of better at doing,
Yeah.
you will be getting more gold. So ideally, that's going to be helping out quite a bit, including Midian gold as well. And then also the health and protection and damage values for a lot of the jungle camps have been adjusted to kind of better suit them to be killed by those carries versus tanks.
Got it. That makes sense. Yeah, get them on cooldown quicker throughout the game. You'll be earning more gold if you're picking them off quickly. That makes a lot of sense. That's really cool. So and it looks like some of the buffs are also enhanced a little bit as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole theme of this as well, not only for the whole double carry, maybe one tank, or just kind of 2 damage dealer, 1 tank, is what we want to push for, is also making the game mode a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit less scale, maybe.
We've seen some pretty, we see some fast early games sometimes, and then it stalemates all the way to sometimes to 25 plus minutes, and we've seen some negative feedback about that. So a lot of this just adds more power to the game, and if you have more power, you have more ability to end the game. So enhanced red buff, enhanced purple buff you're seeing here as well, primarily for the carries, because the power doesn't benefit these tanks that don't have great scaling. The attack speed isn't helping them too much either. So an extra 10 physical power on the red buff, and then for your magical characters, you get an extra 15, so just double on both of those, and then an extra 5% attack speed on purple buff.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, like you said, just kind of helping enhance those damage dealers, helping them feel a little more online, a little more threatening, a little more like you should lock that.
Yeah, and making those buffs a little more important as well. So even if you're losing, you may want to actually defend those buffs to get into the action.
Yeah, help stop from losing. Maybe, give you some pushback and not just, I'm losing harder now. Ha. So along the same line as buffs, we have the king of all the buffs on the map, the Demon King to be specific.
Yeah.
Also getting some changes, it looks like.
Yeah, so he's getting a new debuff where on hit, his attacks will reduce the players, whoever's tanking, their damage dealt will be decreased and their healing taken will be decreased. So a lot of times what we'll see is usually there's a hunter or there's a pretty high damage mage, or you'll even see things like Arachnes or Bakasuras or any of those other characters. Set is a really common example that will be able to go and solo it by themselves using lifesteal or any of that nature. So we want to kind of encourage people to play more as a team around the Demon King and not be so sneaky about it. You still can sneak it, of course, but it's going to need to be a team effort if you're going to do it so early into the game. And so there might be some, discussion about, well, I kind of want to still be able to do this early. Because I want to progress the game, right? We want to get past the tier 1 tower. We'll get to that a little bit later in terms of what specifically we've done to change that, because again, that is another knock-on effect that we'll have to address with the Demon King technically becoming harder because he's also getting additional scaling in attributes. But on top of that, he becomes enhanced now at 12 minutes, which, we would say is the rough, kind of
midpoint,
half-ish way.
Kind of into the final third of the game, right? Where you kind of really want to start pushing for the end. So essentially we're giving additional percent penetration on that enhanced buff. So again, when you get the Demon King, I should say, it will be more relevant for you in that later game, especially versus tanks. Percent penetration, of course, is just more efficient against people with more prots.
And structures.
And structures, too. Yeah, like you said, speaking of structures.
Yeah, let's talk about it. All the way from tower to Titan. Looks like we're seeing some more changes.
Yeah, that's right. We've done some adjustments to structures back and forth, especially with the 9.5 revert, which I can't believe a year after that. That was...
I know, right? That was...
that was a crazy time.
Yeah. So we're addressing, like we're talking about, Lermy mentioned, getting that tier 1 tower down, with the Demon King being a little bit harder to kill now, at least in the early game, or at least requiring more team effort. We should bring down the tier 1 towers to make sure that the game is still progressing, even if you can't get that Demon King. Like, let's say there's a little bit of a stalemate there. So bringing the health down by 200, increasing the power so that, you do want your tank to be in there before you're just, hitting it and tanking those hits. And then they also they reduce protections of the targets they hit as well, so adjusting those numbers according to the same changes too.
Yep. And then moving on to the Phoenix, this is a little bit of a different story because what tends to happen in Joust games is that the tower will kind of feel like it takes a while, and then the Phoenix will just go. It's just gone. And then that's kind of a very challenging position to come back from because, again, it is very, very weak. Or rather, it was very, very weak. We made it pretty significantly stronger here. The health is going up by 900.
Ooh, that's
the
a lot.
HP 5 is also going up. I mean, it's a Phoenix. It's got to reach up.
It's coming back, yeah.
Yeah, when it comes back, it'll also have additional physical and magical protections. The base power was increased, and the prot shred also is increased in alignment with the tier 1 tower. And then finally, the maximum health that the Phoenix can regen when it's been killed is up to 30%, which it was lower before. So even if you had a fully healed Phoenix, it wasn't very healthy at all, really. So now it should be not, impossible to take down, especially with all of the other extra things in the map, the extra pen, the extra power, the extra attack speed from the buffs, things like that. It will be easier to kill it just in general, so we want to compensate for that by making it a little bit tougher and feeling like the pacing of the game is a lot more equalized. You're not going through any particular structure faster than the other, and you always still have a chance to fight on the Phoenix.
Yeah.
And
sounds good. Yeah.
Last little thing to cap it off as well, the Titan health has been increased by 500, but the magical protections have been reduced. A lot of the time we were seeing, at least I was looking at a lot of high-ranked Joust games, and it was kind of two frontliners, whether they be physical or magical didn't really matter, but it was almost always a hunter as the damage dealer. So we wanted to bring those mages in so they can actually end games. It was really easy for a hunter to kill structures, obviously. It's easy for a hunter to kill objectives like the Bull Demon King. But the Titan was very, very difficult for mages. So bringing that protections down, upping the health a little bit to compensate. But overall, if you just zoom out of these changes and look at it in kind of a vacuum, it's just to make the game mode be more linear, have
very standard phases.
Exactly, right. And if you're coming from Conquest and you're new to Joust, this will actually feel a lot more familiar because it's just kind of linear. There's less like, oh, I'm stuck at a tier 1 forever, and then once I get through that battle, I instantly clear the Phoenix. So now it's much more natural, I think, to you either get the tier 1 tower and then the Bull Demon. Those are kind of interchangeable. You can get the Bull Demon first and then the tier 1 tower. But then, you probably should get the Bull Demon before you go to that Phoenix and then group up for this.
It's a little bit more structured to feel like you have a chance to fight and that you can better predict exactly how much you're going to be able to get with any given objective win.
Cool. Well, good stuff. Yeah, excited to see those. Excited for Medusa's deathmatch.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really fun.
Yeah.
So next up, because we're moving on, we got more stuff to talk about. We have items, and I know what y'all are thinking. Y'all saw the image on the wave screen. We're gonna get,
We'll get
there.
there.
I promise. We're gonna get
We
there.
will be there.
So starting off in items, though, we're kicking it off with Vampiric Shroud. Little starter item fun.
So it's pretty obvious that this is the least popular of
Yeah.
the three. More mage-oriented,
It's so
magical
stylish, though.
damage-oriented starter items. So we're just giving it a small bump.
Yeah.
We'll
Little
see,
bumpy.
if this gives it a little bit more presence amongst the others. Of course, lifesteal is a bit of a strange step for some characters, but it works better on others. So we're just excited to see if this brings it a little bit more in line with the rest of them on specific characters, which we'll get to other characters later. But let's talk more about the upgrades.
All my Anubis mains rejoice. All right, the upgrades. So Blood-Soaked Shroud, I see.
Yeah, so actually both of these changes are kind of reverts to some changes we had to make just before the last Worlds.
Okay.
If your solo lane is out there, think back to the mage meta right before Worlds.
I remember that.
We made some pretty urgent changes to make sure that we had a good, comfortable warrior tank guardian meta.
Yeah.
And that was
before
very
Worlds.
purposefully strong.
Right, right, and it worked.
Yeah.
It was great. Worlds was amazing to watch.
It was.
But we
Worlds was
think
fun.
it's time to allow these items a little bit back into the soul lane. So you're seeing on the
Yeah,
blood
not quite the whole.
yeah,
way
yeah.
back, but
We
a
I
little
think
bit.
it was 3 patches in a row we had to nerf these to make sure we got Worlds
Where they
into a
needed
good
to
meta.
be, yeah.
Right. So we're scaling some of that back, and that's where you're seeing this passive heal come up to where it once was.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, next up, we have an item that I feel like I don't know. This is in my circle as much. We have Fighter's Mask.
Yeah, Fighter's Mask is a very interesting item when it comes
It
to,
is.
especially around talks of 9.5 discussions and that whole adjustment to base stats.
Yeah.
People are dying much faster, and when you buy Fighter's Mask,
You want a short time to kill? There you
there
go.
it is.
There it is.
Yeah, that's
You
what I
got
mean,
more
is
of
it?
them.
But essentially, it had lower power than
It did.
basically every other starter item that would have
Yeah.
been relevant in that same slot. So you kind of were just getting back to even
Yeah.
with its damage increase versus actually having a succinct advantage,
Yeah.
which, it doesn't really even out all the way. If you're building this on a Guardian who's already technically got, lower damage than damaged characters, and your power's less, and then you get the increase back to normal, you're just sitting at average again.
Yeah,
We want to make
right
sure
back
that
at
this
even.
feels like a boon to
Yeah.
get versus putting you at normal.
Yeah.
So we're just bumping the power a little bit on this to, again, give you equal to everybody else and then some. This should feel like a passive that is a benefit versus a passive that makes you equal to everybody else.
Yeah. Well said.
Fair enough. Risk and reward. So in the mask neighborhood, we also have the Protector's Mask. It looks like it's going on sale.
This is a fun one. $550 for this mask is actually
Right.
really interesting.
Yeah.
It's the same price as Sentinels, and it's kind of a similar item in a way where you're just heavily focused on tank. This one scales very differently. It's much more selfish in a way. You give less protections than you would in the other ones, unless you're going Sentinels Boon, obviously. So this one can only be bought on your mages, your non-tanks, basically,
Yeah.
to make them into a tank. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how these supports start with this item, and you can hold on to the extra gold. You can get your other items faster, get your tier 2s that we changed recently. I think it's just not going to break the bank as much as before.
Yeah, it's going to be helpful too for sustain in the early game as well. You'll be able to buy 2 more pots, which is very important for the mages that just have lower base stats than everybody else. So being able to at least equalize on that measure is a lot more fair than what it used to be.
Exactly.
Fair enough. Well, the next item, speaking of, stats and whatnot, looks like Warlock's Staff is aiming to help those mages just be a little healthier.
Yeah, exactly. So the whole kind of tree for the staves.
Identity.
Okay.
It's very interesting. There was once upon a time where this was a very, very popular tree in general, but it's kind of fallen off. I think a lot of the just general stat efficiencies have not leaned very heavily in the way of health for a lot of the damage characters. You'll see this a little bit more on hybrid characters, which is, it's good to see, and that's kind of what makes sense for this sort of slot. But we want to really lean into that identity of this is your health item. And we did do that actually recently with the change to how stacking items function in the new season, but we wanted to kind of push it even more because it's still just not a popular option, even for the characters that it makes sense on. It just hasn't been giving them the efficiency that they want. So we want it to be kind of your one-stop shop. I want an absolute crap ton of health. I buy Warlocks.
Yeah, and we're putting this on the unevolved version, so you get it
Yes.
straight away, and you get that feeling of boom, I've got an extra 200 health, and then I start stacking even more health, even more power. So you'll get it early on, and you'll feel tanky early on.
Yep.
Awesome. Nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
As resident tank player, Mages feel tanky, all the better. So sticking to the mage thing, we have Ethereal Staff also seeing a little bit of adjustment.
Yeah, this was once like a very like core item on a lot of
It
mages,
was,
and it
it
fell
was.
off quite a bit. But we've got a very exciting change here because you can now stack it one more time.
Yeah.
One more.
If you can manage to just keep stacking this item on the right target and steal the right amount of health, you can end up like way tankier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
super
crazy.
super tanky.
4 stacks of this is a lot. You have to commit to it because you need to be poking them like every 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And get it as often as you can, and make sure that they're in range so you can get it often. So if you can get that, it pays off big time.
Yeah, not only is it making you tanky, it's making them less tanky too.
Yeah.
So you're stealing quite a lot of their health and putting it on yourself. So
It's like a double-edged sword,
quite a
but
lot.
both the edges are facing at the enemy this time. So, yeah, it works really well.
very, very fun.
Cool. Well, that's exciting. So next up, the Cannoneer's Cuirass.
This is going to be a very exciting item. We've tried a lot of things with this item,
Yes.
admittedly, and not really any of them have worked, to be fair. However, this time we want to really push the envelope and see just how far we can take it.
Yeah.
1850 is the new cost of this item, and that is amongst the cheapest items in the game. We want to really have players go all in on their econ
Yeah.
if they want to buy this item. And the stats on this bad boy are actually pretty good. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, I think it's like 30 of each protection, maybe 200 health, something
Yeah,
around that.
it's very, very stat efficient. I mean, incredibly stat
Yeah,
efficient.
especially
Yeah,
for
for the
1850.
price? Oh, yeah.
Yes. So we want to see those min-maxers give this item a go. At this price point, I mean, it's gone down by another 150.
Yeah.
This is going to be kind of a very fun test to see, you know, if this stat efficiency is very good, if people want to min-max, if they want to econ, play around, getting their carries fed. We want to really push it and see if that'll make
Yeah.
a difference.
You can't beat stats like these, at least not at these prices. So very cool, very cool. So to move away from protection into damage,
Dude, this one's crazy.
we have Erendite.
Excited by this.
This one and the next one. We can kind of show these guys together.
All right, so Erendite and Felnut, right?
Oh.
You can now purchase Erendite
Yeah.
on any physical class. You
Hunters.
can now purchase Failnut on any physical class.
Too many gods to think of. Like when we were making this change, we both sat there and were like, "Wait, what are we breaking by doing this?
Yeah, what's going to explode?
What is going to be insane?"
Technically,
And-
nothing's broken, but,
yeah, but I
a
don't know.
lot of experimentation.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody will show me something that's crazy, and I'll be like, "Oh, that's why we."
Yeah.
Metaphorical broken.
We'll fix it up.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah,
make
yeah.
sure it's okay and balanced. But I'm excited to see what the.
Yeah, there'll be a Reddit post in an hour, and you're like, there it is. That was the thing.
You have to remember, we just buffed Arendite as well. I think it's
Yeah.
2,500 now. as well.
Erendite is very, very stat efficient as well.
It
So
is.
congratulations, hunters. There you go.
Yeah,
Got
you're
it.
you're eating now. So get out there and cause chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Failnut on some assassins, like on
Mercury?
Mercury.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's one that I'm
Felnut
thinking
on
of is
Mercury
gonna
is
go
exciting.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of cool potential. It's crazy how much potential you get by just removing a barrier from an item. You're like, all right, assassins, you can have Failnut, and then
Yeah.
Arachne, see you later. All right, so next up, we got a little of the relics going on here.
Yeah, we can show the next three together here.
next three.
Heavenly
We got the
Wings,
Heavenly
Greater
Wings.
Heavenly Wings, and Entangling Wings.
Shoe, and Cool Shoe.
All three of these together, just getting a bit of a cooldown decrease. We want to make sure that a lot of the options for supports are still feeling viable. This one was kind of close. It was like kind
Yeah.
of a
It's
fringe
a small change.
use
yeah.
case, but
Yeah.
it's just a little bit of a bump in the right direction to keep it, you know, competitive.
Yeah, we kind of just looked at the rate at what players were buying which relics, and Wings was just falling behind it just a little bit. So bringing the cooldown down a little bit, making you can use it more, and that should just make it a little bit better.
Nice. Gotta love better overall. One of my favorite relics coming up next: Cloak, Greater Cloak, and Cloak of the Aesthetic. So.
Yeah. Kind of same thing I just said. You know, we're again looking at the rates of what people are buying the relics and all that. We did make some pretty heavy changes in R5 as well, and this is kind of came into the conversation of like, okay, base health went down, so how do we change that?
Yeah.
When you know you're scaling off a percentage of your health, but that value is smaller. So we've made changes according to that, and just kind of strictly buffing it because it was a little underbought.
Yeah, hopefully this also helps out those assault players because
Yes.
I know the TTK has been a little disruptive in that area, just a bit for some
Yeah.
players. So this will give you a little bit more of that sustain, a little bit more of that healing, so that even if you're in the midst of a team fight, you know, you're getting a bit more healing than you were before.
Yep.
Yeah, try to survive just a little longer. Just a little, one more ability, that's all. So next up, we have the Bracer Trio. So
Yep.
from Bracer all the way to the Bracer of Radiance, all the way to the Bracer of Brilliance.
Yep. Kind of related, but not. This one was super, super good at one point.
Yeah.
It was.
We had to hit it with a bunch of.
Goated item
Yeah, I
for a
think
while
like
there.
quad nerfed at one point.
The ice was real.
Yeah, the first like 6 months of 22 or 23, it was just nerfed repeatedly, and players wouldn't stop buying it, and then they suddenly did. So we're walking back some of that, adding another 2 seconds to that buff duration, so you can really feel it after you leave that zone.
Yeah, cool. And what a funny thing that is, right? Like that's how items work. Is you go through it and you're like, gotta nerf this, gotta nerf this, and people are like, no, this is great. And then eventually you hit that tipping point, and people are like, oh, that's not great anymore.
It also tells us something like, because players held on to it for so long, they probably found it quite fun. So that's another reason when we see it being underboard, we want to bring it back and put it back in players' hands.
It has a lot of fun. I mean, it's one of those positioning tools where you're like, all right, we're about to make our fight at Fire Giant. I'm gonna drop this right here so we can bop in and out of it, and
And as well as the utility that provides, but the vision too, right? We've got the proximity ward, the Raven ward, Sentry ward, normal ward.
Yeah, there were just a lot of competition.
Exactly, and now Bracer as well. You kind of you can choose whatever you like for your vision. You can play how you want to, which I think is really fun.
Yeah, I just like talking about things that are fun. So Divine Barrier next, all the way through Blessed Barrier.
Yep, we got those 3. A little bit of a spoiler for what's next, huh? But yeah, essentially Barrier, ever since its inception, has seen some fringe play. It's been getting, a little bit more as time has gone on. We've buffed it quite a couple times, but now we're buffing the range up to a normal basic attack range. We were a little bit concerned on the release of this item that it would be used more as a combat slow, but at this point we're kind of okay if people want to use it that way. If they want to use it as a zoning tool, by all means, go ahead and do that. Now you've certainly got the range to.
Yeah, I think the players that do buy it, let us know how you'd like to play with it, and we can push it more in that direction. We want to hear from you about how you like to use it, whether you put it in front of your carry so they do more damage, you upgrade it and you block the damage from the other carries, or you just use it as a combat slow to get ahead of people and block off their path. Tell us how you like to use it, and we can push it more in that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that goes back to one of my favorite things you said just a couple seconds ago, is like, it's about the fun, Like when we look at something, obviously we want it to be balanced and fair and usable, but we're looking at how much fun people are having with it too. And if y'all are really having fun with something, we want to enforce whatever it is that makes that fun happen. So
I don't know if you said that just before the next item, but it is very fitting.
Anyway, we're here.
Here we go.
Scroll that
Do we
page
tease
down.
or do we just rip the band?
I mean, they've seen it.
They know.
Yeah.
We have Hastened Fatalis.
It's
Lermy.
back.
Yeah.
All
It's
you.
all the way back. So, a couple of reasons why we got here in the first place. We were looking for something fun to shake it up. We saw a lot of enjoyment over kind of this nostalgia trip of being able to try what the game felt like at different points. All of these items and things that previously existed were taken out for one reason or another
Many years
throughout
ago.
the years.
Yeah.
I mean, Hastened Fatalis was taken out, I think it's season 4. Season 4.
Don't use that number of years. I'll feel too old.
And it got replaced by a number of things, right? But also, I remember we had a Div Insight recently where we were talking about Toxic Blade.
Yes.
And how Toxic Blade was kind of just like, we couldn't find a place for it. We didn't have an idea that we were happy with. We finally found an idea, and that idea was removing it and putting Hastened Fatalis in its place. But don't worry. Hastened Fatalis has a lot of those stats that you were looking for if you were going for a Toxic Blade, but now it's got a passive that's actually incredibly strong. So strong at one point that it had to be removed and reworked into a bunch of different items in the game. But yeah, it's back, and one thing that you'll kind of see as a theme, we have a couple of returning items, as we spoiled a bit earlier.
Yeah.
We wanted to bring them back from the iteration that you guys remember the most, the one that you have the nostalgia for. So these items will probably be strong. You'll probably be seeing quite a lot of these items in your games, but that's okay. That's something that we are anticipating.
Yeah.
What we are most excited about is to get the excitement and the nostalgia of these old items back into the game, and then we'll adjust from there. So they're probably looking strong to you. This has got a bunch of really solid stats on it that most characters would want, but we're anticipating that.
Yeah. And you said most characters, and yeah, good to highlight, this was where Toxic Blade was, or this is replacing Toxic Blade.
Yeah.
Which could be bought by all gods, right? So
Yes.
any gods can buy any gods can buy Hasten Fatalis, and yes, that means hunters, and you can get the full benefit of this. You did just get a little taste of it, and if you played the Smite 2 Alpha, it had a bit of a different effect, but this is the full Hasten Fatalis.
This is true
How you remember it.
Fatalis. Yep.
True Fatalis.
And then as you'll see here, we just have a couple of knock-on effects below. We have the tier 2 changing from Cursed Blade to Fatalis, and you'll see the stats listed there. We're not going to go and break down all of those bad boys, but again,
We're in the
You can look
patch
at what
notes.
Toxic
Yeah,
Blade
y'all can
was
see
if you
them.
knew that.
yeah, this is very similar. It's got Pen on the tier 2 as well, which is pretty important. If we keep scrolling down here, we've also got Ritual Blade, which is renamed from Cursed Blade. This is the new tier 2 for Lotus Sickle and Relic Dagger. And yeah, you'll see there,
Now we're into Lotus Sickle.
Lotus Sickle.
And
and
try
Relic
not
Relic
to go too
Dagger.
far this
Yes.
time.
All right. So now you're probably thinking, okay, Lermy. Well, now that we have Hasten Fatalis back, what about Hasten Katana? What about Hasten Ring? What about Atalantas? Well, this next item that
Sure,
we've got
that
here,
one.
you'll see.
Oh, I mean, lead us into it.
Welcome back, Ichabod.
Ichabod has
Ichabod
returned.
is back. So you're probably saying, okay, Atalanta's bow, Ichabod, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So Atalanta's bow has been removed from the game. If you want that similar style of effect, buy Fatalis. This is another kind of like classic early game hunter boxing item.
Yeah.
It's going to increase your physical power and reduce the enemy's physical power or magical power. It works for either. Although you don't get magical power, of course, because this is a physical only item.
Yeah.
But yes, it is a boxing item. It's got flat pen on it. It's got attack speed, and it's pretty cheap considering.
Yeah, that's one of the identities that this item used to have. At some point, it was 1,700 gold.
Yes, it was more in
was-
the old tier 2 slot, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, tier 2 with no tier 3
Yeah.
kind of thing. And it was really just bought as your first or second item. You just wanted to take your advantage in lane. And let's say you're playing on her, this early game god, and you want to get in there and box. The more auto attacks you hit on the enemy god, the larger your power gets and the lower theirs gets. So you just kind of sit in their pocket and just keep boxing them as much as possible. It really encourages you to fight with the enemy ADC, as well as the flat protection as well.
Yeah.
Flat penetration, really good in the early game, and it's got 10 of it too.
Yep.
Yeah. Overall, a good item. If you're good at landing the Charybdis chain attacks, then
Oh, yeah, this is big.
that's the item for
Big, big,
you.
big.
Instant.
So, all right. So moving on. Here's one that I used to be a part of a lot of the builds I ran forever ago. We have stone cutting sword.
Yeah, goodbye, Hasten Katana.
Goodbye.
Hello, Stone Cutting Sword. Welcome back.
Yep.
This one, kind of a very similar vein. This one's got power and movement speed. It's kind of a mid-price for the katanas because
Yeah.
this effect is very strong.
Yeah.
Especially for, the more hybrid characters, which we want to be careful about, of course. We know that this is kind of one of the main pain points that we noticed from a
Yeah.
lot of your
Osiris,
old
Erlang.
Gilgameshes, etc., over in the jungle. So we are bringing it back fairly strong. Again, we've made that point very clear that that's what we want to do. We want to allow people to have the excitement and nostalgia around these items, and then we'll adjust from there to better suit the modern version of Smite that we're in now. But again, melee basic attacks decrease protections by a certain amount, and then
Healing. Yep.
they also reduce the enemies that you hit.
Yep.
So it is, again, a nice little 2-for-1. You get tankier, they get less tanky, and you're fast, just in general.
And you're fast, just because. So, continuing down the fun new item rundown or returning item rundown, we have the Ring of Hecate.
Yeah, Hecate in Smite 2, Hecate
That's a familiar
back in
name,
Smite 1.
yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Ring
Welcome
Hecate. Kind of similar vibe. This is, of course, replacing Hasten Ring.
Yeah.
And this kind of is solving another problem here as well, where major DCs have kind of been doing not too great for the past
in this
several
meta,
patches.
yeah.
Not in this meta.
Well-
They're generally more late game carries, but there are some of them that flex a little bit more early game. Like
Yeah.
Soul's probably one of the more successful of them because she can flex into that early game. But one of the big gaps in their build has been flat pen.
Yeah.
Just in general, they really have lacked flat pen. So one thing that we wanted to do is give them a flat pen option that makes sense in their build. Of course, they could be building like Divine Ruin or Spear of Desolation, but
They want attack
speed.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Ring of Hecate kind of solves two birds with one stone in that way. And then additionally, on top of that, you're also getting this passive, which increases your magical power and reduces the physical and magical power of your opponent. So again, kind of this boxing trade
Ichabod
idea.
type, yeah.
If you're hitting your attacks, you'll be stealing some power.
Yeah, same kind of thing as Ichabod. Ichabod had the flat pen. This has the flat pen. Really effective in the early game, and you want to box in the early game. So then you get the passive effect that is beneficial when you're boxing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. So next up, we're kind of starting at the bottom of a tree and climbing up. So we're
Yep.
starting with the brand new Rebound Buckler.
Yeah, Rebound Buckler is going to be the base of a brand new tree full of
an
many
interesting tree.
items that you may remember, you longtime Smite fans.
You Smiters.
But yeah, Rebound Buckler is 600 gold with 100 health and 10 HP 5. Very standard tanky items.
Standard tanky items. Next up on the tree, Warded Shield.
Yes, this is the first of 3 tier 2s in this tree. And very standard 1200 gold, 150 health, 35 magical protections, and 15 HP 5. And then the item that builds into, welcome back to the name that nobody knows how to say. Ansile. Yeah, one of those.
Ankile. Welcome
Back
back,
and forth.
Ankile.
But yes, this builds from Warded Shield. This has got health, magical protections, and HP 5 on it. And then, of course, the passive that you remember. When you take magical damage, you unleash a shockwave that silences enemies in the 30-unit radius around you for 1 second. And then, on top of that, it's got a brand new effect. You might be wondering, well, it kind of had power before. Well,
Hybrid item.
hybrid item. We still are kind of maintaining that we want to make sure that these items are fully defensive in their stats, do have some offensive in their passive. So this is the place where that happens. Anytime where you don't have that passive ready to go, the silence
Yeah.
ready to go, you'll have some extra power on your behalf. And the other exciting part is that you can build this on anybody now.
Yeah, it's really not. It doesn't have physical power on the actual item. So if you're a guardian, you can blink on somebody. As soon as that mage hits you with their ability, they're now silenced.
Silence mage.
Raijin uses his one on you, you instantly cut it off.
Yeah,
So
that is the exciting part.
really,
Is that
really exciting.
all these items that you needed before are now available on completely different classes as well.
Yeah.
Which is exciting.
I love the idea of using this as a silence bomb. I'm gonna Horus ult into the middle of them and be like,
You can't
Horus,
speak.
yeah, Horus the librarian. All right, so this next item, another new tier 2. I wonder if y'all could guess what this will build into.
Yeah,
It's
Nemean
called
armor.
Nemean armor.
Yeah, welcome back, Nemean armor. You've seen this icon before. We had to do a little
We had some
shuffling
keynotes
around
out
to
there.
get a little bit clever here with this
Yeah.
one. But yeah, Nemean armor is still building from Rebound Buckler. This one's got health this time. It's got physical protection instead of magical protection, and it's got some HP 5 on it. But what does it build into, Lermy?
Stone
It builds
cutting sword.
into Hide of the Nemean Lion.
okay.
Welcome back. This is the OG Hide of the Nemean Lion as well that has the full
classic.
reflect damage. And we understand, of course, that this item was frustrating for one reason or another. So we're keeping a
little
very,
bit.
very close eye on how this fits in the builds and how it feels, especially with the TTK changes. We want, again, the items to feel strong, feel nostalgic, feel like these were as strong as you remember them being, and then we're going to work them back to feel like they fit in Modern Smite.
Yeah, so we saw pretty clear feedback. I was the one that had spoiled on Twitter that this Nemean armor was coming back in the last patch, and everyone was really excited because, yes, we had pulled some resources and kind of used the Hide of Nemean icon. We changed it a little bit, flipped it around, changed the colors, and everyone thought it was Hide of the Nemean Lion coming back. And we, at that point, I was too scared to bring it back. The comments below my tweet were filled with like, "Oh my god, finally!" And
The
that was a
excitement
quick
there
indication. I
was.
was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
actually, we
People,
could do this.
people
We
kind of want
should
this,
do it."
huh? Yeah.
So we're doing it. I'm interested to see the reaction now. People kind of don't know what they're asking for sometimes, and we're interested to see how it feels when it actually gets in games and into the hands of players. Very, very effective against hunters. So I'm sorry, hunter
Yeah.
players out there. It's back. If you have any anger,
I mean, you have to
I'm
trade
sorry.
something for Fatalis, right? It's
that's
only
true
fair.
as well.
Yeah. So
If you're running around and hitting me and I can't even hit you because you're so fast, then you're hitting yourself.
yeah, you can hit yourself. There you go. I'm excited for this. Is another big excitement point for me because I've always been day one. I've always been a Guardian lover. So seeing one of the items that I remember buying as I was learning what Smite was and traversing the arena for the first time and being like, well, I need that. That reflects. Put those ADCs to bed. So super pumped for that.
Yep.
So next up, I see the word new again. Got another new item, the Fortress Shield.
Yes, this is our final tier 2 of this tree. This
Okay.
one has got health, physical protection, and HP 5, and it builds into technically a new item.
Yes.
Technically.
I will say some players from I don't know 9 years ago may recognize this icon.
I'm gonna die of old age
Yeah,
on this
11
couch.
was
You
it?
say that
11 years
again.
ago. It was an old icon for a completely different item. So this is the only icon that we have reused that is not the same item. But I think, Laramie, you can explain it. I think the players will. Be
Yeah,
happy
you'll
with
you'll
it
know
is.
what this item is.
All right,
so
scroll down.
Shield of the Phoenix is a new tier 3 in this tree. It's got health, physical protections, HP 5, CDR, and the passive is that anytime you hit an enemy god with an ability, you are healed for 2% of your maximum health and mana. This can only trigger once per ability.
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar to anybody?
It's such glad. I'm glad it's back. Glad Shield.
There it
I'm
is.
glad Shield's
Okay.
already in the game, though.
That's
It
why.
is.
It's the Shield of the Phoenix. You know, you're
Yes.
healing.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
reviving. It's coming back.
Rejuvenating.
But yeah, Shield of the Phoenix, everybody. Welcome back. or
And-
welcome for the first time,
Yeah.
I should say.
A big part of this, again, like we talked about with Ansel and Chile and Kyle, whatever it may be, it's not restricted now. It doesn't have power on it. That means Jormungandr, Xing Chen, Kabrakan, Ardio.
Oh, RDO
you
time.
buy this item.
The-
Not
the
just King Arthur that we're all going to lose to. It's
The
all
whisper
the other
of Ardio in my ear. I felt like there
Make
was
sure you buy
actually
anti-heal.
a bear behind me. Ardio, stop. No.
So, you could build Glad Shield and then this. You could have both. Either way, when you're building this, it's obviously less damage than what Glad Shield is in its current state. So you're trading that damage for the sustain and healing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, cool. That'll be really fun. There's a lot of potential for that. So we're working towards the end here. We have 2 more items left. The next one, another returner.
Yes, the final tier 3 item in this tree is
The hybrid item, right?
it's time to shift things up a little bit because we've got Shifter's Shield making its return. While you're over 75% health, you gain power. When you're under 75% health, you get prots.
Yeah, and a really stat efficient item as well.
Yes, very
Before
so.
you even include the passive, it's actually quite stat efficient. 2,400 gold for those stats, a lot of HP 5, and then yeah, you're flipping between that power And there's a new thing here is the magical power, because
Yes.
again, this wasn't purchasable on magical gods before, but now it is. So your guardians, your mages, if you really feel like it, you can build this item, and then you can get the protections when you're over or under that threshold.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
I remember this being like the nausea item too, because nausea is always I'm gonna go in, take them up to the sky. Whenever I land, gotta hope somebody's not down there. So you pick up this item, and you're a whole lot tankier because you land down, you take a big shot, and you're like, okay, I'm good now.
Yeah,
bud.
very stat efficient item, I will say.
Be
But
good.
yeah,
Cool.
those are our new tier 3s in the rebound buckler tree.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then one last little thing to end it all here: Steel Crest. Or that's just there on the bottom again, huh?
Yeah, so Steel Crest
the
is
wrong
replacing
Yeah,
Bronze
Bronze
Mail,
Mail,
which was
yeah.
in the mail tree that built into.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that'll be a different icon in game, but
Yes,
we've
this
had
icon is actually different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We've had to use that icon in the Nemean tree, obviously, because
Mm-hmm.
it's much more fitting there. In game, you'll see that Steel Crest is a new icon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same stats, same everything, just a new icon.
Yep, exactly.
Cool. All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. A lot of cool items. A lot of stuff returning. So I'm excited to see how these new things function in this,
Yeah,
or
it's
old
crazy.
things function in a new environment.
age,
You know? Yeah. So we have the ancient relics of power that have been brought forward to the new age for y'all to go nuts with. So, but we still have some gods yet to talk about.
Yeah.
I guess we'll just dive right into it. First off, we have some nerfs we're gonna go over, and Medusa's sitting at the top of that list.
Yes, she is.
Yes,
We did
she
hear your pleas during bonus balance.
I
And
heard the
we've
pleas and saw
delivered
the data
here.
as well. It was-
These are some big nerfs for Medusa, just kind of across the board. She's kind of snuck her way up there. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of
Yeah,
the
we
times we
did.
were like not expecting her to do as well as she
we
was.
buffed her
but-
base movement speed.
Yeah.
And then her win rate went through the roof because of the 9.5 revert.
And you know what?
Yeah.
No one talked about the movement speed either. They're
Yeah.
talking about the damage. But yes, a lot of this is damage hits as well as a couple small cooldown changes here to Viper Shot and to Petrify. A lot of this is to just make her tone down a bit.
Yeah. We don't have to go too much into detail. We're just reducing our damage overall. I think this is one of those cases where we kind of a god isn't being played much. We look at it as designers. We look at our numbers and they're like, oh, they're kind of alright. What if we just bump the movement speed a little bit? 'Cause
Yeah.
It was thematic with her,
Snake.
snake. And then just a small buff gets the players to play it a little bit, and they're like, wait, this god is actually really good. And the truth is, she probably was good already, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now everyone realized, and her win rate shot through the roof, and we've had to bring it back down.
Yep.
Makes sense. I mean, I guess we'll just dive into the abilities then. So first of all, Viper Shot.
Yep, that's just getting decreased damage, increased cooldown. Acid Spray after that, decreased damage. And Petrify, the ultimate, decreased damage and increased cooldown.
Yep.
Makes sense. Straight across the board, just trying to rein her in a little bit. So Mulan is next up on that list.
Yeah, Mulan, another character
yeah.
that has had a couple of quality of life changes over the past few
Yeah.
patches as well, especially the change to grapple has made her feel so much better.
Oh, yeah.
But also it's made her so much better too.
Yeah.
So she's got to take a couple hits there because again she's got that extra consistency with grapple. So we are going to make sure that across the board she's feeling like she's more fair because again landing those stuns is a really big deal. Landing that escape is a really big deal. So yeah.
Yeah, I can start with the grapple. We're taking it down in the early game and just normalizing it back to where it was in the late game, because in the early game you kind of just always being able to hit it because it is easier. Technically, it is just easier to hit now
Yeah.
with being able to aim it. And then if you're hitting it, your spear thrust is obviously going to hit the enemy because you're
Yeah.
pulling them into you. So nerfing that damage as well made sense.
Not to
And then-
mention, like, if you're hitting it, you're also getting a passive trigger, which
Exactly,
is increasing the cooldown
yeah.
even more.
Yeah.
So
Really
it's a
snowballed.
lot of things.
Exactly. So, and then for Divine Mastery as well, we changed that so you kind of always get that sword unless you cancel it. So we had to reduce the damage on that a little bit too.
Yeah, just because there's no longer a chance of missing it, so you don't have to
That's right.
incentivize. So cool. All right. I mean, I love Mulan, so I hate to see it, but it makes sense because she was popping off.
Yep.
Yes, she was.
So next up, one of the two dudes left that I just can never say the name right. Kuchulain?
Kuchulain.
Kuchulain. There we go. There's like one left, and it's him every time. So what are the nerfs going on here?
So he's just kind of an early game monster. I mean, that's kind of been his thing always, right? But
Yeah.
he has been doing quite a bit of terrorizing in the early game, you can say the least. So we want to make sure that we're just toning it down a bit. He tends to scale pretty okay now. Like, he finds
Yeah.
a solid home in the late game.
Yeah.
But it's really his early game, especially
first
with the
couple
TDK
waves.
changes that
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
been very crazy for this character.
Yeah.
So just a bit of decreased damage, increased cooldown for both Barb Spear and technically Ground Slam as well. Spear of Mortal Pain and War Cry together.
That's right. And I know that was 2 tank nerfs in a row. Don't worry, Soul Laners. Remember, you've got Shield of the Phoenix. You'll be fine.
you'll tough it out. Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
you guys got this. You got Neiman. Yeah, come on. You guys got a lot of stuff. All right.
Moving into Mage Land now.
Yeah.
We have New Wall getting some nerfs.
Yes, one of the biggest boons to the pet proc changes out of all of the ones that got them. Nuwa absolutely went crazy, and
Yeah.
especially with some
soldiers
of
were
the
nuts.
adjustments to TTK as well, with magical
the buff,
protections
yeah.
going down, having a ton of flat magical shred.
True damage.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
essentially true
It's true
damage
damage.
with clay soldiers. So we are going to take that production reduction down, and then just a small hit to shining metal as well, just a little bit of consistency touch
Right.
there, because surprisingly enough, I think people think Nuwa is like a very standard, all right character. You would be shocked to know that she
I think the highest win rate
between 1 and
in big
2
rate right now.
very
Between 1 and
frequently.
2.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's very much up there, deserving of a nerf, especially because of those specific reasons that we have addressed there. And hopefully she's still feeling good,
She will be. Yeah.
not doing true damage though.
Yeah, not quite the true damage thing. All right, so staying in mid lane, we have the Portal Party Master himself, Giannis, getting a little change up.
Yeah, his popularity is already typically very high.
He's a
just
fun
for
character,
even though
yeah.
he's not the most winningest. He actually had a pretty considerably higher win rate than he normally does. Not to mention his popularity rose quite a lot as well. So it's mostly to do with the fact that it feels like he is not, I guess overclearing is the word that I'll use here, but he's doing enough damage to feel like he's got extra time after doing buffs, after doing
right.
waves, whatever it is, to be able to use these other abilities on enemies, and not to mention just the scaling is going crazy.
Yeah, he was one of those mages that actually benefited most from us reducing the health of the minions in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
whole 9.5 revert, because once the wave is gone, the whole entire map is unlocked for this character. So
Yeah.
it actually got it was a really big change for him to not be caught on that mid wave while it was coming, and he wasn't able to kill it in time. Now he was able to kill it in time very easily. I still think he will be able to, but
Yeah.
reducing that damage is just an overall nerf. So it'll just take his abilities down overall. Whereas before, he was just kind of able to do whatever he wanted, wherever
Yeah,
he
it's
wanted.
not a huge nerf either. I mean,
No.
10 damage isn't going to make or break him, but it's really, especially for those upper end Giannis players that are able to do that
One
and
for
hit the
every
enemy
wave, yeah.
team and get them
Yeah.
with the threshold and with the passive as well, being able to have all of those extra scaling bonuses on top of that flat damage that it really started to add up.
Yep.
So I want to make sure that we're targeting specifically those spots and not for the players that weren't using those tools very effectively.
That's right.
Makes sense. Good stuff. So next up, a mage that I have never had any luck countering ever for some reason, Agni.
Agni just remains a very consistent top ban.
Very,
He's like
yeah.
probably the #1 mage that gets banned
Agni's wild.
across the board. He's just very consistent and safe.
Yeah.
His
And
poke,
that's one of his strengths, right?
Yeah, that's his kind of identity. He's consistently and strong. He's kind of always been the go-to mage for mages that have or players that are new to mid lane. It's like Ra and Agni. Those are the mages that
They're
get
just
picked
simple.
up straight away. They're simple. They do their job, and you know what their job is as soon as you play it. Right.
Yeah.
I think with this shorter TTK meta, him often building flat pen, or at least in it, he's most successful in a flat pen meta. He was just shining right now. So bringing
Yeah.
his damage down across the board made a lot of sense.
Yep. Damage, a little bit of cooldown on Flame Wave, which is just going to
Yep.
ease a little bit on the poke, because that's typically the one that you're okay with giving up the damage for
Right.
to get the stun off. So that's just going to decrease in the late game in terms of its efficacy. You're going to have less of them.
Yeah, but overall, a little less damage just to keep the fire from being quite as hot. So, all right, shifting out of the mid lane, a little more in the tank territory, we're guardianing it up with Geb.
Yeah, many people will probably be surprised to see Geb here, but
Yeah.
we were surprised too. Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong. Geb actually
popped off
kind
a
of
little bit.
got a humongous benefit
From
to during the TTK changes, because a lot of his shielding, a lot of his efficacy didn't come from anything base stat related. It was just level related.
Yeah.
So essentially, his shield was pretty big, especially towards the late game,
Yeah.
compared to what a lot of other characters do that scaled off of health. Like Nike is a good example of a character that scales off of health.
Yep.
Did not have that same kind of translation there. So Geb was getting quite a bit of benefit, especially towards the late game. We wanted to make sure that his early game is still feeling relevant but not strong, because that's his identity, is that he's a weak early game, and
Yeah.
then a super supportive, I guess you could call it a hard carry support
Yeah.
in the late game. We want that identity to be retained, but not as strong as it is now.
Yeah, it almost felt like you couldn't really go wrong with Geb with the way you played him as well. If you were just blink ulting, it was always a huge amount of damage. So bringing that down made some sense, especially in the late game.
Yes.
Like you said, with the Stone Shield not scaling off of anything else, it was just flat shield.
It stood out.
It stood out, and when everybody has a lower value of health, it makes a big difference. And then Shockwave as well was doing the base damage, not the scaling or anything like that, just the base damage, because as we've said, with the TTK changes, everybody's base health has gone down, so this makes more sense.
Yeah, it does overall. He's one of those characters that definitely does, despite being a giant rock, definitely can sneak up on you somehow, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I was killed by Geb, just like that, huh? So next up along the line, we have Bacchus as well, our party man.
Yes. So, there's actually kind of a mistype here, so I apologize for that. We'll get to him when we get to it. But Bacchus, he is quite the party animal, you might say, over in the duo lane. He's incredibly popular, surprisingly enough, but that's because he's just very consistent. He does all the things you need a support to do, and he does them very well. He's got movement ability, which is great, which also has a CC, which then has a follow-up CC on it if you're drunk, and then you've got a belch that gives you knock-up immunity,
Anti-heal as well.
Yeah, anti-heal on top of that, and extra minion damage, and then Intoxicate, of course, the classic just burst ultimate. I believe the change in this one, if you have got that pulled up, I'm pretty sure this is the decrease in Intoxicate duration.
Yes.
Downward.
Yeah.
So the line says cooldown here. That's not actually what it is. It is the duration of Intoxicate is going down.
From 6 to 4. If
I'm pretty sure if it is it is 6 to 4. But we'll be fixing that later.
Being intoxicated for 6 seconds.
When that got like on DR'd, by the way, that was crazy.
It feels like a lot. And when a Bacchus does that just to run away, you just see him run off to the distance, and you're just like, for 6 seconds, you just can't do anything.
Yeah, I was honestly really surprised when that change came to Bacchus, having the undr'd Intoxicate, that he didn't just automatically shoot up to like the top of every support ranking.
He's very standard in win rate, but recently he's gone up quite a lot. His popularity has also risen quite a lot just through the level of consistency and being able to be a safe character, especially in the early game. And he scales pretty well towards the late game. Does a good deal of damage, but taking it down just in frequency quite a lot across the board. And then no more time to party for 6 seconds, I'm sorry to say, well, I guess it's a good thing for everybody else.
Yeah,
it's great for everybody else. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, that pretty much covers it. Yeah, we'll get that fixed up on the patch notes. But
not a problem.
6 seconds to 4 seconds for that Intoxicate debuff.
Cool. So now Thanatos, the Reaper of the Sky.
Sure is.
Getting some, sure is. Getting some nerfs. Scary insta-death, man.
Hey, you'll see here we have Thana and Thor coming back to back. The two ranked menaces once again kind of getting another boon through the TTK change. As you would expect, a character that does lots of burst damage. Good in a meta where there's less prots and less health.
For
shocker.
sure.
These ones were kind of predictable almost. Like when we were doing the 9.5 revert, it's pretty obvious that these one-shot based characters or these big one-shot combo based characters were going to be problematic. With the way we have to do changes on the back end, it kind of had to wait to a patch for now, like a full actual patch with client side and everything like that. So now is the time we get to nerf these characters, and hopefully we'll see their ban rates come down, because what we're seeing in the data is that players just do not want to play against Thanatos, and they don't want to play against Thor, which is coming up
hard
next. Their ban rates are like 30.
They did go down
30 to 50
quite a bit. They used to be upwards of 60%.
Medusa went up. That's why.
Upwards of 60%.
Well, it was very high. At the beginning of the season, it was upward of 60%, let me tell you. We've done a couple of nerfs throughout the various patches this year, and it's slowly come down. Their win rate really hasn't changed all that much. It's gone down a little bit, right? Obviously, any character that's getting nerfed is going to do worse. But we've been seeing a disproportionate amount of ban rate decrease to win rate decrease in terms of what we're looking for. So we're like, okay, if they have to lose a little bit of win rate for people to be more okay with having a variety of bans and not be too worried about playing against them, we're okay with that trade-off.
So for Thanatos, as you can see here, we're just taking some base damage off of the Death Scythe, adding some extra cooldown to it, especially in the early game. It's okay in the later game, kind of just, you can sit around and poke, but in the early game, that big one-shot combo, now you'll get a 14-second cooldown, so a 2-second cooldown increase on Death Scythe. And then talking about the early game again, the flat penetration really matters there as well, so taking that down a notch 5 at the level 1 rank is actually a pretty big deal. And it'll only scale up to 25 instead of 30.
Especially when you've got the yellow totem as well, which got a significant amount of buffs. If you're stealing, if you get first yellow totem, steal the enemy's yellow totem, that's a lot of pen.
That's a lot of pen. You're the pin champion. So you kind of mentioned this earlier. Thor, another one of the TH insta kill combo styles, also getting a bit of that nerf.
The gods with that get banned with the names starting with TH versus not, it's very high. Let me tell you.
It's disproportionate.
Thor is getting a bit of a decrease in base health. This is just because he was pretty significantly higher than many of the other assassins, and this dates back to ye old ancient Smite times when
warrior.
once upon a time he was a warrior. So yeah, we're taking that down just a little bit. We know he has to get in the middle of people to be able to get the full combo off, but even still, he's still on the upper echelon. He's just not at the tippy top anymore.
That's right.
On top of that, Berserker Barrage getting a cooldown decrease in the beginning of the game, and Anvil of Dawn getting damage decreases on the initial hit, as well as the arc damage, which also then gets reduced just by the nature of it being the arc damage.
Yeah.
Multiple hits of that get inherent reduction.
Yes.
So, bunch of damage, a little bit of survivability, a little bit of early game clear as well.
Yep. Yeah. Just should bring down his one-shot potential and make him a little more tolerable to play against.
Susceptible as well.
Yeah.
A little less, maybe insta-banned every single time. So.
Maybe. We'll see.
Y'all will let us know. We know. All right, so we've worked through the section of nerfs. Now we're into the buffs part of this. So we have some
Yes.
gods getting buffs to talk
We have
about.
some cool buffs.
We do. Starting with Hades.
Hades. He's doing okay.
He's
It's
hanging
fine.
in there.
But he could be doing a little bit better, especially because
A little
you know
more
the meta suits him in the early game, but he falls off quite a lot towards the late game.
Yeah.
Well, when he's got a 70-second ultimate cooldown, maybe he won't fall off as much.
That's right. Yeah, this is one of those gods that was struggling when the 9.5 revoke came in because he kind of needs to be up there and in there. He also kind of needs to build damage, and when you're doing that, you're just dying, right? So having more opportunities to get in and get out, you know, you can cancel your ult and jump away and not feel like you're on a cooldown for 90 seconds anymore
Yeah.
because you're not.
Yeah.
You rank up this ultimate at level 20, you can get down to 70 seconds for a Hades ultimate. So if you can just get in there, force their relics, force their escapes, so your team can do their thing, you can get straight back in there in 70 seconds and do it again.
Yep.
Yeah. Hard to do with the TTK the way it is, but that's a playmaker ult, you know?
Exactly.
That's a game-changing, like, momentum-shifting ult.
You don't have to feel bad about canceling it anymore.
No. Yeah.
It's
You
the right
just-
thing to do a lot of the time.
Yeah, you dash in, you're like, all right, like, this isn't, we're not, back out,
Mhm.
revisit, do it again. So always fun, though, because it's just a fun ult to use.
Yes, sir.
So next up, this one makes me a little sad, because I've always been afraid of Kronos. It's Kronos.
It's Chronos time. Well, we do have a new item for him in Ring of Kate, and technically Fatalis.
That's
if you
true.
want. But Chronos was a significant underperformer compared to the rest of the magical ADCs, and we're not really touching damage, as you'll see here. He's getting a bit of that from the items, so we're leaving damage out of it. We're really giving him a little bit of extra base health and base physical protection, so he's a bit closer to someone like Oleron, who's got about equal survivability, if not a little bit less, but regardless, he's just a little bit more tanky in the early game to help him survive through those first couple of pretty rough waves.
Yeah, the easy way to explain this as well is he's a character kind of similar to Morrigan in a way where they need to get their ultimate off before they die.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're just, they're losing most of their kit.
they've lost
Yeah.
it.
If Kronos doesn't get his ultimate off, he's not getting the rewind, obviously, but he's also not getting the cooldown reset of his other abilities. So being able to get that ultimate off in a more likely scenario with that little bit of extra early game protections and health, it should just make him a lot more powerful. He was struggling with those revert nerfs more than most other gods were.
Yeah. Also accelerate, getting a bit of a mana adjustment down to $60 ranks. This kind of just helps out if you're using that mana refund option of the wheel.
Yeah.
So you don't have to pay so much and then also have to pay other mana costs on top of that. Even though you're getting it back, you still have to pay all of those mana costs. So this is just kind of lowering down the baseline of what you have to pay to be able to get everything else back.
Yeah, and we felt it was kind of limiting, like kind of what starters you could go into as well. You needed that mana sustain from your items, but now maybe you can go a starter that's less focused on mana sustain, and then you could go Fatalis, which has no mana sustain, and Ring of Hecate as well. So you have plenty more options now as a Kronos player.
Yep, just a little extra cooldown off of that as well.
Just a myriad of little gifts. So next we're cracking into Kubrakin. He's getting a little buffed up.
Oh yeah, Seismic Crush is getting a cooldown decrease, and this next one's actually very exciting, where Refraction Shield is getting an increased amount of protections per stack.
Ooh, okay.
From 2 to 6
Adds up to a lot.
4 to 8.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's
I don't
quite a
know.
lot.
Is
That
it
is a
6
lot.
stacks, I think.
It's very close to that.
that,
But yeah, it's quite a lot of protections. But again, you have to get hit. And you
Exactly.
do trade these away when you use Refraction Shield.
Yeah.
So it's a give and a take. Yes, you could be more tanky, but if you're using Refraction Shield, you lose them.
Yeah, and these changes kind of go together as well because you want to keep your stacks up and get them up faster as well. So you want to be in combat. If you're in combat more often, you want your abilities up more often. So you have the Seismic Crush change as well, up every 14 seconds instead of 16.
Yep.
Overall,
Exactly.
good living. So staying in the Guardian sphere. Our boy Ymir coming up.
Yeah, Ymir's got some fun dev notes. If you want to
yeah.
take a look at those, chat.
I'm looking at them right now. Yeah, they're on screen. Ymir always has fun dev notes, though.
Oh, those are my favorites.
Yeah.
I mean, Ymir writes really good dev notes, guys.
I was about to say, Ymir always comes in and writes his own, which is crazy. Like 10 years later, he still shows up on time to write his dev notes every time. So
Big Ymir changes, though. Frostbite. Increasing the damage dealt debuff he applies on enemies from any of his abilities from 10% to 15%.
Yeah, I want to say a lot of players actually don't notice this is there.
Yeah.
They don't realize,
crazy.
but it's a big part of his kit. It's a big part of what makes him tanky. If you feel like you're dying a lot as Ymir, make sure to hit them first with your 2,
Just
your
hit
3,
your
or your
abilities.
ult. Yeah, just hit your abilities. Super easy. And then you take less damage from that target that you're hitting, and you also deal more damage to them with your auto attack. So really focus on your passive. It'll help you a lot as Ymir. And another thing that'll help you is your Frost Breath being down at 14 seconds all the time instead of 16 at the early game. It used to scale down to 14, now just a 14 flat.
Now you really can focus on leveling that too and not feel bad about it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Oh, next character.
Next
big
one. A big one. We have
The first time in a long, long time.
Yeah, right. We have Yamoja next up on the list.
Is that allowed? We allowed to buff the character?
Yeah.
We are allowed to buff Emoji.
We figured it out. It's legal.
It's
we
true.
Can do it.
All right, she's got actually quite a few buffs here. A lot of these are going to be slight reverts to things that we had to change for various reasons for aspects of pro play.
Yeah.
So you'll see that a number of these are just going to be walking some of those things backward a little bit.
Yeah.
First thing, Omi is increasing the basic attack healing per level from 0.2 to 0.4. So this is when you're basic attacking through your allies, getting a little bit of extra sustain. It's going to be just a little bit more now, especially towards that late game.
Yep.
Riptide's getting an increased slow from 10 to 15%. So if you're hitting an enemy with this, even if they're going forward, they're getting slowed. You do want to try to aim them back towards you a lot of the time.
Of course, but
They'll be slowed down, even regardless of how you hit them. And then the biggest one of all, River's Rebuke. Cooldown is going down as you rank it up from 140 at all ranks.
Yeah.
So 140 down to 120.
Yeah, 140 was insane, but absolutely necessary.
Oh,
Yes,
completely.
it was
for pro
It
play.
was completely
So,
necessary.
we're seeing less pro play these days. I'm really actually excited for the tournament, by the way, that's going to be played
Yes,
on this patch.
on this patch.
In just a couple weeks here in the
This
studio.
is gonna go wild.
Yeah, it's going to be insane. So I'm excited to see that, and Yamoja will be buffed for that. So down to 120 in the late game. Not a massive change, but 140 when you look at that for an ultimate cooldown. That's an active, right there, or a relic, I should say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really excited to see it down another 20 seconds. It means you can really time it easier by use your River's Rebuke, get the shell cooldown so they can run through it, or get whatever cooldowns they want, Aegis and all that, and it's back up in 2 minutes, so you can use it again before their relics are back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
I was gonna say this was the biggest buff of the patch, but I don't. This next one's kind of crazy.
this next one, well, for all of y'all Guardian fans,
Yeah, the next two are crazy.
we keep going. So Fafnir next up on the list.
Fafnir. We
Fafnir.
did a small, exciting adjustment to Fafnir's kit recently. It didn't really give him that much of a stat boost, but as you can see here, we're doing an adjustment to cooldown on Coerce towards the late game. And Draconic Corruption is getting its duration doubled
Yeah.
at rank 1 from 20 seconds to 40 seconds. Y'all want to be a dragon for longer?
Get in there and use it.
You get
Yeah.
to be a
So
dragon.
Yeah. 40
It's going
seconds,
to
that's
be
like
very
Resident
good.
Fafnir lover.
3 rotations of your abilities, build some cooldown, maybe even 4 rotations of your abilities in that dragon in the early game. It felt really necessary to actually put points in this ability before, because you wanted to get it up to that 60
Yeah.
seconds as soon as possible. But it also sometimes felt bad because, all the enemy characters can just run out of it before I can hit them with the damage.
Yeah.
Now the damage matters a little bit less. You're getting that 40 seconds anyway. You don't
Yeah.
have to put the ranks in it. You can rank up your 1,
Not
your
to
2,
mention,
your 3.
Can I just say, it's fun to be a dragon.
It is. It is.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
If I'm not mistaken, in Pridwin 45 seconds on its ICD.
There you go.
Now don't have to wait until nearly the late game to get the double value from that item
Yeah.
on Transform and Detransform. Now you get that at like rank 2.
It's good. It's a good buff.
Good.
It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be a good buff.
Play Fafnir. Practice your hammers.
All right, I need everyone to take a deep breath here with me. Here we go. All right, this next buff has been a long time coming.
I'm excited for this one.
A long time coming. Can I see an Erlang Shen, please?
There he is.
There he is.
Can
right
I
there.
see a 72 transformations, please?
Show you some text.
Can I see that the turtle once again knocks up?
There it is.
It's back.
What
You
more
heard it
needs to
here.
be Said. Yeah, this was another popular request, kind of in the same vein as Nemean. We'd see the popular request, we'd see the chatters and the tweets and the Reddit comments and the Discord, all of it. We see them asking for it, and it's like, okay, you sure you want this?
Yeah.
Nemean's in the game. Stonecutting's in the game. Erlang Shen has his knock-up back. He still has all of his changes that happened after when his knock-up was removed, so
Yeah.
he's very good in the solo lane.
Let me also
All
be
at once.
clear with this as well. This is not the same exact knockup as it was before.
A little bit different.
It's slightly lower.
Yeah.
It'll still feel very similar. You'll be able to get in maybe one less basic attack depending on your attack speed of Erlang at this time, but again, we wanted to make sure that we were still addressing the concerns that people had when we removed this in the first place, but still bringing back that combo potential, that CC. The turtle's going to feel like it's going to have so much more impact now, and honestly, it's very exciting.
Yeah, it's fun. It always felt good to
Yes.
use.
Yeah,
Well, that
it was
auto
fun.
cancel, you knock them up quickly so they can't get away from you immediately. You can interrupt their channeled abilities. It always felt really good to use. So I'm glad it is back for that reason. I'm really interested to see players play with it again and see the balance
Yes.
of it. As always, we can adjust as we move forward.
Welcome back to our Erlang Shen Overlord.
We're back.
It's kind of funny because with this 9.5 revote that was heavily demanded for, and I think really heavily loved when we did it, it threw the balance crazy off, right? We knew that would happen, so we knew we'd have to adjust. And then in this patch, we're trying to adjust the balance, and then boom, we add all these items back and these new effects, and we have to balance all over again. So it's going to be fun. Like the game is going to be crazy, but get in there, play it, let us know how it feels, and we can adjust based on your feedback and the data that we have.
Yeah, I mean, like any good maintenance, right? You take it, you fine tune, and we're always watching, fine tuning, listening for what y'all
Believe
want.
us. We're in there too.
But if you've ever worked on anything, you know, eventually you get to the point where the best solution is just to kick it a couple times, you know, and that's kind of what, like, you have all these nice fine-tuned adjustments, and then the kick of a bunch of random item, like returned items and returned abilities. So it's really just both forms of peak.
It's
peak
focusing on the
maintenance.
fun as well as
Yeah.
that's important. A lot of these changes.
Erlang
you
Shen
said it earlier.
It's
yeah.
just more fun with the knockup.
It
Yeah.
is. That is a fact.
Bottom line. So awesome. Well, let's keep the ball rolling and talk about Shock.
Yeah, you would have expected Chuck to actually be doing quite well in our early game meta. He is quite the lane bully. He's got a odd amount of
Great passive for it.
survivabilities and passive and all that good stuff, but he just wasn't hit quite the same. So we're doing a couple things here. We're getting a couple small instances of damage that are going to help us clear out a bit. He's getting a boost in the early game especially, but kind of at all ranks here for Thunderstrike. Rain Dance mana cost is going down. He does get some, mana concerns, especially, if he's getting Blue Buff stolen, which was actually happening a lot to him because there were just other pressure characters, Mulan, Kukulkan, that he was fighting up against quite a lot. So, those kind of characters he just couldn't compete with, even though he is meant to be an early game character.
Yeah.
He just wasn't seeing the success in that spot. So a lot of adjustments there. And then Stormcall is again mostly tilted towards the late game because just in general, Chuck has not scaled very well towards the late game as a character design in general.
Right.
And that's okay for him to not be like super oriented towards the late game, but we want to make sure that he still has tools for that spot. So a little bit of extra damage on Stormcall towards the late game.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, overall, easy peasy stuff. Great God. Next, we're moving into Nox territory.
We sure are. Nox is a character that, again, kind of had... She has tankier stats compared to
Nox
most
is
mages.
a character.
Yes, she does.
In general, so she got hit pretty hard by the TTK
Mm-hmm.
adjustments, just because the tankier you are, the more that got taken. So
course.
we wanted to give her a couple adjustments across the board. Some of these are bigger than others. Flame of the Night is a passive that increases your magical power, and then when you get hit, it gets taken away.
Yep.
So this really is for the Noxes that are engaging, getting in there right away, and then taking a couple hits here and there, whatever it might be. But Siphon Darkness is also getting an increase of damage scaling on top of that. So if you catch someone in this, if you're hitting the wave, if you're trying to secure something with this, it's going to be doing a lot more damage, especially if you're building more damage,
Power, yeah.
which a lot of Noxes aren't really building anymore. So we want to encourage a little bit more of that damage lifestyle. If you want to be building more damage, you've got a better opportunity to. And then just kind of a nice quality of life. Shadow Step going down from 90 mana to 75 at all ranks.
Yeah, 90 was a lot. And then putting these top two changes together, the more power that you're getting from your passive, that directly helps Siphon Darkness power as well. So, and it kind of takes a long time for her abilities to go off. Her 1 is kind of a channeled ability, and it has tick damage, and then her 2 takes a long time to go off. But if you really stick it in there, it's going to pay off with that extra power.
Just gotta get it in there.
Yeah, just got to get in there. All right, good stuff. Well, next up, a character whose kit is still as mysterious to me as, I guess, the wonders of the universe, Set.
Yes, this guy has certainly rocked the boat before on high-level play, but since a lot of that has, taken a bit of a backseat for a bit, Set has fallen quite to the wayside. Very, very difficult.
One of
to,
our lowest win rate characters. in the
play
game.
at this point for a lot of people. So he's getting a couple buffs, especially oriented towards giving him more opportunities to pop off versus making him pop off harder. Relentless is his passive, where he gets more attack speed each time that he hits a basic attack. And Kingslayer, of course, the very flashy Sim ultimate where he gets to make a lot of clones, going from 90 at all ranks, from 90 to 70 seconds
Yeah,
in this new patch.
very similar to Hades. I mean, the alt change is much the same, and it's for the same reasons, because these gods need to know when to go in, and they need to stay in the fight. But with this reduced health pools, it's harder for them to stay into the fight longer against multiple targets. So now, if you have to disengage because you didn't engage at the right time, or you had to go out earlier than you expected, it's okay. You have your ultimate up again sooner.
Makes sense. So following on the assassin style of life, my mom Brigitte.
Yeah, this is not quite a buff in the same way that you would normally see. This is more of kind of a bug fix where when we implemented the item procs on certain abilities from the last patch, there was an unintended effect on Maman Brigitte where this ability that she's using to clear a lot, if she gets the last hit with this, she's getting the reduced heal for something like Bumbas or something like Mannequins or Vamp Shroud even. So we are going to be increasing the healing that she's getting from item procs from 25% to 100. This is just the healing, not the damage, just the healing. You'll be seeing the same number that you're used to from Bumbas now.
That's primarily what the fix is. It's just her sustain in the jungle was hurt quite a bit inadvertently by these changes. So now when your dot damage from the party trick actually kills the buff, you'll get the amount that it says on the tooltip on Bumbas.
Cool. I mean, nice and straightforward. Always love to know what you can expect, you know?
Yep.
So Izanami up next. We're moving into hunter territory.
Yeah, you'd think that Isa would kind of be popping off in early game meta. And I feel like I've said
Agreed,
that quite a bit, where a lot of these characters that you think would be doing well are actually not doing well at all.
Y'all are
And
subverting
Isa
expectation.
is on that list. So we're doing a couple things here. Mostly focused towards giving her a bit more scaling towards the late game, because her early game, it's okay, right? It does what it's supposed to do. It gets the job done, but it's not as relevant anymore because a lot of other characters are feeling very comfortable in that spot. So her advantage is still there, but it doesn't translate to as much as it used to. So now we want it to translate to a bit more. So that's why the penetration, which is percent, better in the late game, better against tanky characters, is going up per stack. And then, of course, the silence duration on Dark Portal, it's a relatively small circle.
It is,
Takes a long time to go off. We want that silence to feel worth it. So it's going up to 2.5 seconds at level 20, which is
a big one.
long.
Yeah.
Start a team fight on that and hit the enemy mages or even hit the supports. They're not doing anything in their spells for 2.5 seconds, and you can really just kind of wail on them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A lot of time to capitalize there.
Yep.
Cool and very dangerous. So next up, somebody we all know and love, Newt getting some changes.
Yeah, this is her first balance change, I think, since she released.
Oh, yeah, I guess it would be.
Kind of crazy that it's been this long without a balance change for her,
Wow.
but really this
You
is
go,
spurred
Newt.
on by TTK. She is a very low mobility god. Not no mobility, but very low mobility. So one of the things that would occur is that, she could usually juke out a bit, but, because of the higher health pools and protection pools before, she could have perchance eked out some survival. Not anymore. She's dying a lot more than she used to. So not only are we giving her a bit more damage on her peeling ability, if she doesn't quite hit it, she's got a bigger chance to be able to turn around. And she's also getting the decreased cooldown on Warp from 14 down to 12 to 12 seconds at all ranks, just so that she has a little bit more survivability, especially in the early game when she's most vulnerable.
Yeah, well said.
Cool stuff. So we're following that up with our boy Rat.
Oh yeah, this is another one.
He's got a lot. Ratatoskler's got a lot going on with his acorn.
Essentially, every single acorn is getting a buff of some kind. Lots of different acorn buffs.
Yeah, so let's focus on you'll see the increased heal from percent, those buffs.
Yeah.
With the base health going down quite a lot, that percent mattered less, so we're bringing that back up a little bit. So it should be closer to what it was before, just with the 9.5 revert. So it should feel similar to how it did in the last patch instead of a little bit weaker. But he is not doing as much damage as we'd like him to do either. He's a very all-in character. You're ulting in, your dash can be blocked, so it is harder to get out. So we want to make sure that he's able to kill characters when he's in. He kind of wants to do what the Thanatos and the Thors do, but let's be honest, he's not doing
Just
it.
He doesn't have a
start for
TH.
him as well,
Yeah.
because
That's right.
no
That's the
TH in
problem.
Ratatoskler. We got to make that.
Make it
We thought
acorn.
about making it Thratatoskler, but
Spark acorn,
anyway.
I think. Maybe that's the
Oh,
problem.
yeah, close enough. But essentially his kind of gold generation was not quite the same as everybody else's. His power spikes because he wants to finish this acorn first. A lot of other characters getting Jotuns, they just inherently have more power than these acorns. And yes, the acorns do other things as well on top of that compared to Jotuns. But 20% cooldown, unique effect, they're kind of close, right? So I want to make sure that every other part of that is as close to equal as we feel like is necessary. So bringing up the power just a bit to make it more fair between the two.
Yeah, we won't go through them all, but just 5 power on pretty much all the acorns. So you get a little bit more damage on your entire kit and your basic decks.
Oh, this is the part of the show where I'd say, if you want all the numbers, go check out the patch notes. And hey, look, there they are.
There they
So, cool. All right, so we're going from the squirrels to the birds next. We have Raw.
Yeah, it was summer in full swing, as I wrote very, pointedly on the patch
Yeah.
notes. It's time for the sun to see its day. Ra is another character that got heavily affected by TTK. A character that you don't consider as pretty highly mobile, but can be. The problem is,
Do mob, yeah.
if you catch him one time, he's probably dead.
He's cooked.
So I want to give him more tools to be able to survive if he gets caught.
Especially in
Because
the late game. Yeah.
when he gets going, when he gets speed of light on, he's chilling. But when he doesn't, or he gets CC'd or stuck somewhere, he's probably dead. So Divine Light getting a bit of an increase in damage to return some back if people are trying to run him down. A little bit of increased health per level just in general because he was pretty low in comparison to other mages. And decreased cooldown on Solar Blessing to give yourself a little bit more protection, healing, power on yourself to really hunker down and fight back if you need to.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, good stuff. I think we made it to the end. If you scroll down one more time, we have the voice actors. We always like to shout them out. All the incredible. We work with, Smite's worked with an uncountable amount of voice actors over the
amount.
years.
Hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds and hundreds. So we always a joy to work with them. Always fun. So always at the bottom, we like to shout out all the new skins and new gods when we have them voice actors. So thank y'all, everybody. But yeah, we did it. We did it.
Woo.
Yeah, that was
Made it.
cool.
Crazy patch.
Crazy patch for sure. We hope that y'all love it. Again, it's gonna be wild, not only because you're seeing all these old items return and some new, but also because but also because, like you said, or as you mentioned earlier, it's old things from Smite's bygone era and brand new today Smite being smushed together. We have gods that never got to use these items. We have balance that hasn't, that wasn't around during. It's gonna be wild. So more than ever, or as much as always, because we're always like this, I guess. We're looking at the numbers. We're looking at the feedback. We're looking at what y'all are posting on Discord, Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, Instagram, MySpace, Zigazoo, whatever. So I keep hearing about that on the radio. It's been stuck in my head. But no. So we're super excited to hear what y'all have to say about this, and obviously make adjustments where necessary. Again, we have moderate expectations for things to be a little crazy, a couple of the things, but that's fine. Get in, have fun with it, enjoy the crazy things. We're gonna rein them in. We're gonna make sure nothing is game-breakingly wild, but we want y'all to have fun with it. So especially Medusa's deathmatch, get in there and really start throwing hands. Just figure it out. It's a deathmatch after all. But well, cool. I guess past that, again, look out not this coming weekend, but next weekend for that Creator Cup final, and keep your eye out for PTS, which should be going up pretty soon, as always. And you'll see this update next week. That's Tuesday of next week, so it'll be right around the corner. But until then, I guess thank y'all all for joining me here and going over everything today.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been super awesome. Always a pleasure to talk to y'all, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, fam.
Made in Georgia.
No